The Calder Cup is in the building tonight, and whether it gets handed out remains to be seen. But good evening from the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto. My name is Jaric Rubel, glad to have you with me on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel as the Toronto Marlies are one victory away from completing a championship sweep and capturing their second Calder Cup in the last 9 seasons. Through 3 games of this series, Toronto has found a way to win differently every single night. A comeback victory in Game 1, a dominant offensive performance in Game 2, and then a playoff-style grinded-out type of win in Game 3, which was a 1-0 win for these Marlies. And Tuesday's contest, like I said, was decided by a single goal, and it came from one of the brightest young stars here in the AHL. As just 2:47 into the second period, Easton Cowan buried the lone tally of the night, and that proved to be enough as the Marlies skated away with a 1-0 victory to take a commanding 3-0 lead in this Calder Cup final. And for Cowan, it was another moment in what has been a pretty postseason run for the kid, as the Maple Leafs' top prospect now has 8 goals and 14 points this spring, tied for the most points by any rookie in these playoffs. But as impressive as Cowan has been, Toronto's biggest advantage throughout this postseason has come in goal. Artur Akhtiamov, he's been outstanding, as the Russian netminder stopped all 24 shots he saw in Game 3, recording the first shutout in a Calder Cup final game in 3 years. It was another chapter in a postseason that has seen him start 18 consecutive games while consistently giving the Marlies a chance to win every night. And when Toronto needed a big play, he has delivered. And now on the other side up front, whether it's been Vinny Lettieri, whose 24 playoff points lead this Toronto Marlies team and the whole AHL in these playoffs, veteran leadership from throughout the lineup, or timely goals from rising prospects, the Marlies have built a formula that has them sitting 1 win away now from a Calder Cup championship. But if there's one thing on the other side that the Chicago Wolves have learned during this playoff run, it is how to survive, as the Wolves have already stared elimination in the face before, as just a round ago their season appeared finished after a lopsided Game 5 loss in the Western Conference Final against the Colorado Eagles. They then responded by winning Game 6 and 7 on the road with a backup goaltender to punch their ticket into this series. Now they'll need to find some magic again, just one game at a time. And the return of highly touted prospect Felix Unger-Sorum was back for the Wolves in Game 3 as he provided a boost to the lineup, while Caden Primo delivered a strong bounce-back performance in goal, even though he ended up getting credit with the loss in the 1-0 defeat, but he was much better than the Game 2 performance for the Chicago club. And the Wolves believe its game is closer than the series score indicates, and they've generated chances, they've defended well for stretches, and they've kept every game competitive. But now they need results, as history's not on their side, and teams that take a 3-0 lead in this Calder Cup final almost always finish the job. In fact, here in Toronto, the Marlies have never failed to complete a sweep after building a 3-0 advantage in a best-of-7 series, but playoff hockey has never cared much for history in that regard. For the Marlies, tonight is an opportunity to finish this climb to the top, and for the Wolves, it's about extending the journey, and one team fighting for their championship celebration, while the other in Chicago is fighting for a Game 5 that would be played tomorrow night. But for now, it's Game 4 of the Calder Cup final from Toronto. It's the Chicago Wolves and Toronto Marlies coming up right here as you're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup final with Jaric Rubel live here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Welcome back into the Coca-Cola Coliseum where the Calder Cup is in the building as the Toronto Marlies are looking to sweep the Chicago Wolves in this AHL final. Again, my name is Jaric Rubel. Welcome back into the broadcast, and let's take a look at tonight's starting goaltenders for Game 4. For the Wolves, it's Caden Primo in net. This postseason, he's 8-8 with a 2.63 goals against average and a .916 save percentage. He'll be opposed again by Arthur Aktiama, fresh off the shutout in game number 3. His postseason record 14-6 with a 2.10 goals against average and a .928 save percentage. The Toronto Marlies in their home blue uniforms, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs, except instead of Toronto Maple Leafs across the leaf on their chest, it has the nice Marley crown on it. And overall, the jersey looks exactly the same as you would picture the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Wolves in their road white uniforms, as they got maroon numbers on the back, gold numbers as well on the back, and their sleeves outlined in maroon as the puck is dropped without the screen being shown. But the puck's down to our left in the Marley zone. They possess, and they throw it out to center as they go left to right in period number 1. Bogru trying to send a man in. Here's Torberg break into the net, and a poke check there alertly by Primo. Put it into the far corner of the Wolves zone down to our right. They escape to center. Valimaki got it back at the logo, and now on the left side, Bradley Nadeau over the line, dropped it onside Valimaki. Left side, Nadeau, a shot, he scores! 28 seconds in, and the Wolves strike first, and Bradley Nadeau gets his team leading 17th point and team leading 7th goal of this postseason. So that's the start the Wolves needed right off the bat. The first shift into this Toronto Marley zone. It was Valimaki just inside the near blue line. The puck almost came out, but he drew inside just in time. And he creeped down low and set up Bradley Nadeau at the near circle down low. And he was able to shoot it short side on Aktiamov and get his 7th goal of the playoffs and his team leading 17th point as well. So the Wolves right back at it in the Marley zone following the ensuing face-off. Down to our left in the near corner, Unger Sorum blew a tire as he now tries to get back to his feet. He'll chip it down low on the near side. The Wolves played it with a high stick, and then it was soccered over by Ryabkin, but the whistle ended up going from the official, and the face-off will come back out to neutral ice with 19:10 to go in the first period, with the Wolves leading 1-0 on Nadeau's 7th of the playoffs. And this Bradley Nadeau line's been good in this series with Suzuki and Robidoff for Chicago. And then Philp's been on the middle line in this series with Skylar Brindamore and Noel Gunler. And then it'll be Josiah Slavin with Vierling and Ryabkin. And then Neuchev and Pavlichev on the 4th line with Turcotte. A face-off won at center by the Marlies, played into the Chicago zone down to our right, but it was shy of the red line when it was thrown in, so another whistle here, this time forward icing, with 56 seconds played in this first period. The Wolves' defensive pairings are the same as always, Nystrom with Foot, Seeley with Legault, and Valimaki with Fensori, but of course throughout the game those always get mixed and matched as we've seen in this final. As now a face-off here following the icing on Toronto. We'll put the puck down to our left in the Toronto D zone as it'll be Philp against Bogru for this face-off. Now off the draw down to our right at the far circle. It's won by Philp, thrown to the near side, but Valimaki can't play it inside the zone off the boards as it's out to center, and the Wolves will steer it back in. Down behind the Toronto goal to our left, Ben Danford, the rookie, put it up the right side. Lettieri's tied up. It's taken away. The Wolves get possession back. Unger Sorum up at the blue line, sent it to the near circle down low. The puck was behind Ryabkin, who couldn't field it cleanly. And now Logan Shaw for the Marlies up the right side for Lettieri, but the pass missed him, and it's going to result in an icing. So 18:38 now to go in this first period as we look at the Marlies lines. No changes for them in the lineup tonight as Shaw centering Grew and Lettieri per usual. And it's Hameswit, Torberg, and Cowan. Pare with Nylander and Vallis. And then on the 4th line, Johnstone, Pizzetta, and Sim. Deep pairings are Thrun with Benning, Mermis with Villeneuve, and Rafai with Danford. Now it's Shaw against Brindamore for this draw to the right in the Marlies zone to our left, and it's won by Shaw and the Marlies and played out to center. We're in between the benches. Gruel steered it into the Wolves zone. Letary fighting after it in the far corner. Made Nystrom fall, has space, tried to play it back door. Found Villeneuve, played it back on top of the paint, couldn't connect, and the Wolves get it, and they'll backhand it out to center. As now the Marlies try and reset in their own zone. Here's Dakota Murmis out of Alton, Illinois here, skating behind his own net to our left, played it out to center for Toronto. Alex Nylander tried to play it over the Wolf line. He had it tied up, got it back in front of his own bench, had a pass go off a skate, deflects now into the Marley zone where Villeneuve backhands went out the center, and at the red line, Luke Hames will backhand it into the Wolves zone. It'll go into the near corner where Legault from behind his net will play it out the center for the Wolves. And now out on the red line, it'll be Alex Nylander chipping it into his own bench with 17:48 to go in this first period. So again, thanks to all of you for chiming in here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. If you were watching the World Cup previously, you would have seen the ending to the halftime there where Matt and JT were trying to figure out what time this game started, and then they realized right now this game was going live, and then they kind of panicked to get the graphic right, and it was kind of fun to watch. And then got this hockey game started as the Wolves already lead it 1-0 here, courtesy Bradley Nadeau in period number 1. As a face-off here at the logo at center is won by the Wolves as Ronan Seeley passes it across the ice for Veerley on the right side into the Marley zone with a shot that went off a skate to the near side. Pizzetta on it for Toronto, left it in the near corner in his own zone. Rafai had to hustle to it and give it right back to Pizzetta. Up the right wing, he'll play it. On that side, Johnstone tipped it into the Wolves zone. Out to play, it's Caden Primo as Primo backhanded it up the far side. Nobody could find the puck. It bounces down along the wall. Came up to the point. Rafai will keep it and play it behind the Wolf net. Skates around to the near corner. Pizzetta got it up for Sim. Played to Johnstone. Tried to play it to the net. It went off a skate back to the near corner and back up that near wall to Danford. Danford played a bouncing puck near the Wolf goal line. It goes to the trapezoid now, down to our right for Pizzetta to sling it back up on the right wall. Danford will put it in the middle. Sim fanned on a shot, came back to him, put it towards the net, and Pizzetta couldn't get a deflection, and Primo catches it cleanly, and it gets a whistle with 16:59 to go in the first period. A little more jostling going on in front of the net as Pavlichev and Sim here jostling now, and Pavlichev got to be careful to keep his aggression down as he got called for a match penalty at the end of game number 3, as in the final 4.5 minutes. He gave a huge hit to Henry Thrun, and he ended up getting called for a match penalty for a hit to the head. It sent the Wolves to a penalty kill for the last 5 minutes of the game, and they ended up losing 1-0 as the Marlies, as I get it, they were definitely ragging a little bit, and I could see why they wanted to do that, but it definitely reminded me, as you know, I'm a 25-year-old, I played Hockey Ultimate Team, playing the NHL video games, watching them on the power play definitely reminded me of that one kid who's higher up in the ranks, tries to rag the puck to secure the win. I get it, but I also don't exactly love seeing it in real life, but it is what it is. Face-off here controlled by the Marlies now, but they're back in their own zone as they couldn't get it cleanly through neutral ice, as now back up on the near wall. Danford played it over the Wolf line. Torberg tried to put it in the middle for Cowan, but Seeley took it back for Chicago. Now on the near side, Valimaki played it in front of their own bench for Suzuki. Back to Valimaki at the logo on the right wing for Robida. Tried to center it back to Valimaki. It's picked off by Toronto and put up the near wing. Torberg over the red line. Now on the east side, here's Cowan. A shot, a save made there by Primo as Cowan let that shot go from the right circle, and Primo gets a stop here with 16:23 to go in the game's opening period. So a reminder here, coming up this weekend on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel, the United States is back in action in the World Cup. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern Time as they'll take on Australia. Matthew Owens will be on the call with you all for that one right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. And following that up, he'll be back again as he's double dipping in the World Cup. Scotland and Morocco will follow that for a double header tomorrow on USM. And now through this little whistle here, it seems like Bradley Nadeau has gotten called for a penalty, as I didn't quite see. Now we're going to get a replay here, as it's going to be behind the play, as he got tied up with a Marley and knocked him down and got called for interference while Cowan was trying that shot on the near side. So Toronto to the game's first power play, as overall this postseason they're 16 for 78. Last 5 games, 1 for 14 as they win the draw on the right side. Cowan to the point. Villeneuve a shot. It pinballs around in front through the blue paint. It rolls. goals. The Wolves get it. They threw it up the near wall from behind the goal, but Cowan kept it. Cowan now tied up and taken down by Legault aggressively as the Wolves play at the center. And now Brindamore on the left side tried to get it deep, did enough to get possession back momentarily for the Wolves, but Slavin turned it over. Now got it back as Cowan turned it over on the far wall. Now Brindamore trying to play it over the Marley line. He'll just shuffleboard one behind the Toronto cage as Villeneuve now is on the near side behind his own goal. Back skating through his own defensive zone to the blue line. Dropped it off for Grew, who glides through center over the red line. Now the Wolf Blue backhanded it off a Calfoot's leg to the near corner of the Chicago zone. Puck rolls now to the far side where it's played up ahead off a Ungerstorm skate, and to center it goes. And the Marlies get possession back with 70 to go on the power play. As at center, Villeneuve's on it. Far wall played for Grew. Back in the slot, Villeneuve to the near circle. Cowan dropped it. Letary stick broke on the one-timer. It's loose in the slot. They score! Power play goal. The Marlies get even in game number 4. As on top of the blue paint, a man was there to clean up the loose change. And it's Jacob Quillen with the equalizer for Toronto. So Quillen here with his second goal of the playoffs, as this was a pretty zone entry by the Marlies on the power play, as Villeneuve will pick up another assist on this for his team leading 18th and league leading 18th assist, as it was put on net by Letary's broken stick on that pass from the slot by Villeneuve. And then again, that went right off the right pad of Primo, and Quillen played it through his legs as we get a better look at it, and past the right pad of Primo, which has been a victim all series of chances from the Marlies. So we're all tied up at 1 here, not even 5 minutes in to period number 1 in this game number 4, where Toronto can clinch and win the Calder Cup. And they're back in on the far side to the Chicago zone. Johnstone caught a stick up high. Will a penalty be coming up? Doesn't look like it. As out to centers, Neuchev for Chicago on the near wing. He'll play it over the Marley line. As, by the way, Vinny Letary with that shot gets the primary assist. He's up to 25 points as well these playoffs. Again, that leads the league. I'm sure if you're tuning into this and have listened all series, you've learned by now he's having a great postseason. As back on the far wall, Johnstone tried a shot that went off a Wolf stick out of play. So at 14:45 to go here in the first period, we have another whistle. So another look here at the goal as Villeneuve played it in the slot, or Villeneuve's not going to get an assist on that. It'll be Cowan picking up the secondary assist, but Villeneuve touched the puck twice on that play. You might as well give him credit for an assist, but unfortunately the third touch does not get credit, as Cowan did get a little snap pass across, and that is going to be the scoring in this one for that goal. So back down to our right in the far corner, the Marlies win a draw, and at the far circle in the Wolves zone, trying to drop it to Benning was Torberg, but on the right side, Benning will play it along the wall. Cowan galloping with it from the east side to the west side to the back door, trying to play it now for a Marley, and it went off a skate. That was Quillen there trying to center it, and now the Wolves are out to center. Here's Suzuki over the logo. Left side, Nadeau played it down low behind the goal, trying to play it freeze. Robidas, he soccered it now to Nadeau. Nadeau played it to the slot, picked off Cowan, and he'll send it out the center as a bouncing puck goes over this Chicago blue line. So now the Wolves reset here with 6 minutes gone by in period number 1. Jaric Rubel, glad you're with me again on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. I hope it's not the last time I'm with you guys for hockey this year, but it very well could be until September rolls around. We'll see how this one plays out. Is down to our left in the Marlies defensive zone. Turned over by Thrun. The Wolves get it back to the far point. A flip shot by Nystrom got blocked, and on the far side, down low, Suzuki's on it in the corner, trying to center. Nadeau couldn't get it. Aktiamov will, and he'll get a paw on it from the Toronto blue paint for a whistle. With 13:38 to go in period number 1. We're tied at 1 so far as Bradley Nadeau and Jacob Quillen with goals for each of their clubs have this one off and running in game number 4. Jaric Rubel back with you here live from the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, where the Marlies and Chicago Wolves are tied at 1. Goals by Nadeau for Chicago and Quillen for the Marlies. As down to our left in the far circle, the Marlies win a defensive zone draw as a puck's played past the penalty boxes at center into the Wolves zone on the near side. Foot played it across and Nystrom will get it to center, but it'll be slapped right back in by the Marlies. Behind the Wolf net, Primo's out to play it from his goal crease. Now around the goal, it went to the far side and played up the wall, not out on the far side. Nylander got his pocket picked and now turned it over as the Wolves try and get it back out, but it's kept Pare at the far point. He'll try a shot, glove down Primo, played in behind his own net for Foot to play. As now Cal Foot gets it out past center. Is on the left side. It'll be grabbed over the line. Philp in the Marley zone. Tried to center it in the slot. It's picked off Villeneuve with some speed. Skates behind his own net. Puts on the brakes in the corner. And now left it where it'll be sauced up ahead and thrown to center, where Valimaki gloved it back down. Onside, the Wolves are on the near wing, but Philp lost the puck. Villeneuve took it back. And he'll throw it behind the Toronto net. So it'll be Mermis now out to center, played it off a skate. The Wolves throw it right back to our left as it'll be put in the trapezoid once more. Villeneuve will try again. He got hooked, taken down by Valimaki, and no penalty as now the Wolves take back over in behind. Brindamore got hit there by a Marley. Puck in the near corner, thrown up to the left side. Valimaki goes across Fensori. He tries a long shot that went off a leg, and now a break the other way. Look out, Logan Shaw creeping in with a big slap shot and a save made with the left shoulder by Primo as that puck was sitting between the circles, and Shaw just came in while I was sitting there and unloaded a clapper. And now Primo with a big left shoulder save kept this game tied at 1. Now the Marlies back in their own D zone. Rafai turned it over on the far boards. Gunler played it back on the near wall for Chicago. Seeley left circle, had a shot go off a skate to the slot, ricocheted back to the Marlies as Sims skates to the logo. He got taken off the puck by Seeley. It's back on the far side where Toronto resets as Rafai goes back this way for Danford. At the red line, backhanded it deep behind the Chicago goal. Primo will throw it back to the near corner. Now getting hassled around by Legault was Sim, as now Sim lost it. Seeley took it for Chicago, and it's flipped back out the other way into the Toronto D zone. Benning will pick it back up as he'll stick behind his own net with 11.5 to go in the first period, all tied up at a goal apiece. Jaric Rubel with you in game number 4 of this Calder Cup final. You could see above my head here, the Marlies lead it 3-0 and can become champions here tonight for the second time in 9 seasons. Wolves offsides here by a mile. Bodies fall down to the ice on the far wing as well as Logan Sims taken down and his helmet's taken off by the Wolf that's underneath them, as now it's Nystrom who appears and shows the name on the back of his sweater. As now a face-off will come back up in neutral ice as the Marlies telecast here, as that's what I'm being shown here, courtesy NHL Network. They are showing the hook here that Skylar Brindamore gave to the Marlies. It definitely, in my opinion, should have been a power play for Toronto, but did not, in fact, go their way. And when Shaw broke the other way, seconds after that, I was going to kind of think of the old puck don't lie kind of thing. The Marlies get rewarded with a goal after the penalty didn't go in their favor, but a big save there by Primo keeps it tied at 1. And the Wolves win a neutral zone draw where Valimaki will play it on the near wing. Nadeau will go on the far side. Robot to the back door for Suzuki. And his tip chance was shouldered down on the near post by Akhtiamov. Puck now back at center. Wolves almost lost it to Torberg, but staying with it was Robotaz. He dropped it off near wall. Fensori played it to the red line. Turned back over to Toronto. Touch pass Coward over the line. Straight in comes Torberg. To the right circle he'll move now. Drifting in down low. Trying to drive to the goal. At the backhand. Loose in front. Quillen a shot. Save made Primo. An alert poke check. Got it out to the red line. Now out to center, here is Suzuki. Suzuki at the Marley logo, dropped it. Valimaki glides into the zone, straight away with a shot, and a save made Akhtiamov, as he wasn't sure what was behind him, but he had it under his glove with 10:29 to go here in period 1. So the Wolves here with some good zone entries when the top line's been on the ice with this defense pairing of Valimaki and Fensori, as this is now twice in this period on the near side in the Marley zone. The Wolves have had good scoring chances when Suzuki, Robota, and Nadeau have been on the ice, but the Marlies here with a good counterattack the other way, as Torberg had that chance in front and Quillen on the rebound, but it was a really good stop by Caden Primo, as he was able to punch it away with a poke check. Face off down to our left, won by the Wolves in the Marlies zone. It's thrown behind to the trapezoid. We're now trying to play it around was Robida. He got tied up, as now on the near wall. It's played ahead by Villeneuve with a hand pass, but it's in the D zone, so it's legal, and the puck gets out the center. On the near wall, Suzuki wired it back on the side for Chicago. Philp can't grab it. The Marlies do. Hames on the near wall found Nylander into the Wolves zone. Put it back in the slot. Hames a shot and a save made. Rebound and they score! Hames gives the Marlies the lead. The initial stop was made by Primo, but the follow-up went right back to Hames. And Toronto leads 2-1 here in the first. So Luke Hames gets his fourth goal of the playoffs as Ronan Seeley turned it over for Chicago in neutral ice. As back in came Toronto on the right wing. Nylander put it right between the hash marks, down low. Hames with the initial shot off the left pad of Primo, but the rebound back to him in a blink of an eye, as he was able to beat him on the glove side for his fourth goal of the playoffs to give the Marlies a 2-1 lead in game number 4. So back underway here with under 10 minutes now to go in the first period as the Marlies had possession, but Lettieri turned it over, as now Brindamore played it down low, but Shaw grabbed it back, played it the other way. Lettieri racing after it, will nullify an icing. Primo will play it instead as he came out of his crease, but it came to the near wall where Bo Grew got it down low. Lettieri trying to shuffle it in front, but he couldn't get it to Shaw on the back door. It came to the left point. Rafai to Shaw, now in the slot. Now he unable to get it where the Marlies, but Rafai scorching in, kept it on the right side. Now he's skating around on the near wall, now to the left circle with a bunch of speed, one hand on his stick, had it but lost it. Now as Slavin got it back as it's out the center for the Wolves. Gunler to play over the Marley blue line. On the near side, as both teams change quickly with 9:11 to go in this first period, Danford will wait behind the Marley net, as now they'll look for a breakout with the fourth line out there. Pass up ahead to center dangerously. Villeneuve had to take it back, as I'm not sure what they were looking for from behind the goal, but the Marlies avoid danger there, as that could have been a costly turnover. Back on the right side, here comes Johnstone with it, galloping over the red, chipped it over the Wolf blue to the near corner. Johnstone had himself one heck of a game number 3, though he didn't have a goal. Had plenty of scoring chances, as now back at the right point, Villeneuve had a try that went through the slot to the far corner. On that far wall, it's thrown now towards the slot, deflected off a bunch of legs back on the far wall. The Wolves will get it. They'll play it to center, and on the left wing with space is Unger Sorum. He'll run it through his legs to the left circle in the Marley zone. Played it up now and threw it through the slot. Seeley couldn't grab it. On the far side, Nystrom will. He put it to the goal. Went off a skate, came to the near wall. Unger Sorum can't collect, or it's around the goal now. And at the far point, Nystrom goes this way for Seeley. Seeley down low. Wolves trying to keep possession is in the near corner. Vierling played it around. On the far side now, Neuchev trying to center in the slot. Seeley a shot and a right pad save. Akhtiamov cleaned up by the Marlies, and it does get out to center as they're able to change here with 8 minutes left in period 1. Wolves throw it back on the left side. It's backhanded down low by Unger Sorum, who heads to change. Top line on the ice now for Chicago as the Marlies put a puck up the near wall. It doesn't get out yet, but they'll get it now as Grew got it to the logo. Back node comes Chicago as taking it back is Nadeau. Dropping it over the Marley line. Couldn't get it to the man he wanted, but it's returned to him in the far corner from Seeley. In that far corner, he tried a centering pass that popped up in the air. It's on top of the paint now, where Quillen will punch it to the near corner for Toronto. It'll be played up the wall, but not out at the moment as it's kept back down low by Nystrom. On that near side, a Wolf got clipped up high. Nadeau, but no penalty. As we play on here, the refs are letting him go tonight. Back out at center, here's Cowan on the takeaway for Toronto. On the right side over the Wolf line, Quillen tried to feed it back for Cowan, but it never found him in the slot. As in the far corner now, the Wolves' foot kicked it out to center. That's ironic, as now on the right line comes Nystrom. Nystrom got his pocket picked by Hames at center. Back come the Marlies again off a Wolf turnover. Right side Cowan dropped at Hames. Right circle. He'll try a shot. Blockered away by Primo as it's punched out of play with 7:01 to go in period number 1. Toronto with a 2-1 lead in game number 4 early on as Luke Hames has given them the 2-1 advantage. Now it's 7:01 to go in period 1. You're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup Final live on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel with Jaric Rubel. Back in 90 seconds as we continue on. back here in Toronto, where the Marlies have a 2-1 lead now in game number 4, courtesy Luke Hames' 4th of the playoffs. My name's Jaric Rubel. Glad to have a ton of you with me here for game 4 of the Calder Cup final. First time I think I've reached the century mark in terms of viewers on this channel, so I appreciate you all being interested in some minor league hockey here on June the 18th. So it's middle of summer. I guess technically not the first day of summer, but it's basically the middle of summer, and you guys are all hanging out with me here. Over 100 people listening to Game 4 of the Calder Cup Final on YouTube. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the channel throughout the summer. If this series ends tonight, you'll hear the World Cup, you'll hear some Major League Baseball. NASCAR's huge on this channel, IndyCar's huge on this channel, so if you guys are into that, Matthew Owens does, a terrific job covering motorsports, so if you're a fan of that, definitely subscribe here to USM. Hope to get on baseball for you guys as well this summer, as I gotta figure all that out here as my hockey schedule comes to a close at some point in the next week. But under 7 minutes to go here in the first period from Toronto, as the Wolves are down to our left in the Marlies D zone, trying to find a way to get this equalizer. As out of the far corner, Ryabkin will throw it to the right point. It'll be played back to him by foot at the right half boards. Ryabkin now looking, lost it. Villeneuve took it, has it at his own blue line. Area played it on the right wing, and it won't go far enough for an icing. So back on the near side, Ryabkin turned it over to Hames. He now tied him up, and they're both down on the ice. The referees are going to let him play again, as the Wolves should have been penalized there, in my opinion, yet again, but we play on, as now Ryabkin heads off the ice. The Wolves get a change as the puck came to Philp at center. He had to hurry it along, and it's thrown into the Toronto zone now, as the Wolves get a fresh group of skaters on. Top line on for the Marlies, though, is Shaw at the logo, turned it over. Brindamore with it for Chicago in front of the benches, backhanded it down beneath the Marley goal line. It'll be taken now by Marshall Rafai as his backhander up to center, clears the zone for Toronto. The Wolves will shuffle it right back in. Rafai will send it across again, as now Danford had a bad play in game number 3. He almost put the puck in his own net, realized his mistake, said my bad, and recovered. But you got to be careful perhaps with him with the puck on his stick, something to target if you're the Wolves, as he has shown he's panicked in tight areas in his first bit of pro hockey, as Ben Danford joined the Marlies here after his Brantford Bulldogs season ended in the OHL. Meanwhile, back in come the Marlies on the right side off a Wolf turnover. Lettieri tried a shot that went off the stick of Ronan Seeley, and it deflects out of play with 5:13 to go, period number 1. You're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup Final live on YouTube, as the Marlies lead the Chicago Wolves 2-1 in game number 4 with Jaric Rubel, live right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Live here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. My name is Jaric Rubel. You're listening to Game 4 here of the Calder Cup Final, live from the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, between the Toronto Marlies and the Chicago Wolves. The Marlies looking to win their second championship in 9 years here tonight, as they were the Calder Cup champions back in 2018. The Wolves looking to force a Game 5, as that would come your way tomorrow night right here on this channel, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, the same start time as tonight. But the Wolves down a goal here in period 1 after scoring the opening goal. Have to find a way to get it to tomorrow night first. And the Wolves here 0-2 in the series when scoring the first goals. They dropped the first two on home ice after going up 1-0 in each game. As now we're back underway with just over 5 minutes to go in the first period here in game number 4. As a puck in front of the Wolf bench on the far side will be thrown up for Vierling, and Chicago trying to squeeze it on the far wall. Can't. As Villeneuve took it away, Johnstone was tied up at center for Toronto and wanted a penalty. Didn't get it. Meanwhile, back on the near side, the Marlies shuffle one to center courtesy Logan Sim. And now it's back over the Wolf line where Chicago resets. Here's Nystrom on the near wall, looking to break out, put it on front of the penalty boxes. Turn back over to the Marlies though, as through center on the logo now is Johnstone into the Wolves zone with a shot and a shoulder save made by Primo. Ricochet to the far wall. To the near side it goes, thrown back down low. Johnston in the near corner taking a look. Here's Johnstone, working up near the blue line. Slug it back down low to the trapezoid it goes. Foot put it in the corner. He's tied up with a Marley as his sticks in the midsection of Sim. Puck down low behind the Wolf net. Nystrom has it, flung it up the far side. It deflects to center as it misses Henry Thrun and rolls into the Marley zone where Benning will take it and go back to Thrun, who has 9 points in this playoff for Toronto. Put it up the near wall, and now it'll be thrown in by Benning to the Wolves zone again. Right wing corner down to our right. Philp on it for Chicago, trying to turn it up ahead, has it on his backhand, nudged it on the near wall for Fensori, looking for a breakout. Put it on the far side over the Marley line. Philp can't get there. Thrun took it, put it back to center, and now in one stride, here comes Torberg over the Wolf line. Dropped it Quillen straight away. Tied up, lost it. Now the Wolves back on it to center. On the left side, Fensori at the red line will shoot it in. Behind the Marley net, it's taken by Rafai. Dropped in the trapezoid. Now played for on the near side by Danford. He got tangled up. Cowan there to come grab the puck, as he's now tied up in that near corner as well down to our left. Trying to move it up for the Wolves is Unger Sorum. Got it to the left point, Fensori. Got tied up with Quillen, but played it back down low to Unger Sorum, who avoids the referee. Pins back to his forehand now against the boards, and now skates free to the left circle. Threw it towards the net. Off a skate it goes, deflects to the far right wing corner. Nylander played it up, but not out for the Marlies, as Unger Sorum on the right side now kept it. Played it in front of the goal. Couldn't connect with Valimaki. On the near corner, Danford with it for Toronto. Played it out to center, where it's gloved down at the red line by Fensori. Taken back in front of the Marley bench and played deep by Unger Sorum, as the Wolves change here on the fly with under 3 minutes to go in period 1. Marlies play it back right side to center. Nylander will tip it down to the right corner of the Wolves zone. Behind the goal, it's played by Seeley. Played up the far wall now, where it's thrown to center by Robida. Touch pass by Nadeau. Couldn't find Suzuki. Marlies take it back at their own blue line. Thrown to the right side for Benning. Benning here taking a look. Half slap pass to the far wall in front of the Wolves bench. Tipped by Nylander over the Chicago line, but taken back by Legault now, who loses an edge on the near wall. And it'll be taken back 2-on-1. Hames right side looking, shooting, and a save made by Primo, as Hames shot that from the right circle, as he had Nylander on the far side, but deferred on the pass and took the shot. And Primo there, squared and centered on top of the blue paint, looking to his left, was able to make a keen stop yet again. So just tough luck there for Charles Alexis Legault, as he was cutting out his edge through between the circles in his defensive zone, and he just blew a tire there, and he lost his balance, and Hames was right back in on the near side. Had a great scoring chance, but Primo there able to stop him. So now Primo looks a bit annoyed that just happened, as he now watches a face-off to his left, as Brindamore will take it against Logan Shaw. Shaw wins it clean for Toronto. Right wall, here's Villeneuve. Played it in the slot. Leteria shot at a right pad save made by Primo. Behind the goal it goes. Here's Bogru in the trapezoid, shaken free of Valimaki. To the right point it goes. Villeneuve, a shot goes off a slave and skate to the far wall. Leteria on it, still in the Wolves zone for Toronto. Pivots free here on Seeley on the far left wing. Tried a centering pass, but it got cut off. Came back to him left circle. Try a shot short side. It's shouldered away by Primo, and it goes out of play with 1:53 to go in this first period. So this top line here looks like it's going to stay on the ice for John Gruden's crew here in Toronto, as Shaw, Letary, and Gru have carried major weight here in this series. They were I wouldn't say pointless in game number 3, as Vinny Letary did get the secondary assist on the Logan Shaw, or on the Easton Cowan goal, but in games 1 and 2 in Chicago, Gru, Shaw, and Letary all had monster nights, collecting multi-point games in each of those first 2 games. As now a face-off to the left of Primo here again will be Philp against Grew, and it's tied up to the far wall and played up by Chicago's Philp, and it gets to center, and it rolls into the Marlies zone now in the final 104 seconds of the first period. On the right wall, it's played back to center. In front of the penalty boxes, the Wolves. Nystrom played it on the near side. Over the wall, it comes into the Marlies zone. Here's Unger Soren, played it back door, couldn't find the man that was lurking. As that on the far side is Gunler. Gunler backhanded it up to the far wall. At the point, Foot. He'll play it back down low. It stays in play as it's knocked down by Philp on the far wall. They're going to say it was played with the high stick. Philp doesn't like that, as he now turns around to try and get an answer from the officials. He goes palms up. But with a minute 23 to go here in this first period, we'll have another whistle. So I was talking about how NASCAR here, popular on the channel. Matthew Owens does a great job covering it. And you can find a race here Sunday, June 21st, as the NASCAR series heads to San Diego at Race the Base, as they will head out there at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 Central, and 12:30 Pacific this Sunday, Father's Day here on USM. So the Wolves win a neutral zone draw as the puck's played down to our left in the Marlies zone. Suzuki finds it in the far right wing corner. Centered it, rolled through the slot to the left side. Nystrom at the point to the far circle. Suzuki back on it, drifting between the circles. Played it left circle for Nystrom. Gave it back left point. Suzuki goes back to Nystrom. He wants it. Right circle. Tried a shot. Went off the end boards. Back behind the goal. It goes to our left. On it for Toronto's Torberg. He has speed out the center. Under a minute now to go in period number one as the puck's deflected into the far corner of the Wolves zone down to our right. Around the goal it goes, played up on the near side. Nadeau trying to grab it at his feet, backhanded it to center. Robidoux can't find it. It goes to Thrun over the Toronto line as the Marley defenseman takes a look on the far circle in his own end. Played it off the wall into center as it goes now into the Chicago zone. Apparently an icing, as I thought that would have hit some bodies on the way, but the linesman says nope, didn't touch anybody. And with 33 seconds to go here in the first period, it'll be an offensive zone coming up for Chicago at the trail end here of period number one. But these two teams here are the Chicago and Carolina are the fourth pair of affiliates in the last 30 years to make their respective finals in the same season. As last year, the Charlotte Checkers and Florida Panthers did it. 2008, Wilkes-Barre Scranton and Pittsburgh Penguins each did it. Then in 1999, the Rochester Americans and Buffalo Sabres did it themselves. Toronto's bidding to become just the sixth team in AHL history to capture the cup after winning as many as 4 elimination games. The last team to do it were the Wolves back in 2002. And the Marlies win a D-zone draw down to our left, and the puck's lifted to center by Thrun, but the Wolves back on it as the Marlies are changing at center. Here's Fensori quickly in over the Marley line, dropped it left side. Gunler centered it on top of the paint, but Slavin couldn't get the tip, as making the save and swallowing up that puck was Akhtiamov. So 15.9 seconds remain here now in a period one, as for a while the Marley score bug here did not give you tenths of a second within the final minute. It just said 34, 33, 32. Never seen that technically on a hockey score bug, as it definitely felt very minor league. But for what it's worth, I don't have a score bug above my, or I should say a time bug there above my head. I don't have the clock ticking, as it was too much work for me to keep up with. I noticed in October I was trying to stop play and then I'd lose my train of thought and just focus on the play-by-play. That's what this is here for, you know? So 16 seconds left here in period number one. Face off down to our left. It'll be to the right of Akhtiamov. Has taken this draw for Chicago will be Philp. He loses it though to Shaw. As the Marlies get it, they flip it to center. Grew can't find it at the logo. So Fensori did for Chicago. Played it back left wing. Over the Marley line they come. Twisting Unger Sorum. He got free. Played it far circle. Passing the slot. Philp couldn't get it through. Now it's blocked down by Toronto. Thrown to center. And that'll kill off the rest of the time here in period number one. So the Wolves here struck first 28 seconds in, courtesy Bradley Nadeau. But then after that, it was a power play goal for these Toronto Marlies, as Jacob Quillen was able to strike off a rebound on a Vinny Lettieri shot for his second goal here of the postseason. And then Luke Hames was able to follow that up a few minutes later with his fourth of the playoffs to give Toronto the lead off a turnover at center by Chicago's Ronan Seeley. So 20 minutes in the books here tonight, as when leading through through one period in these Calder Cup playoffs. The Toronto Marlies have a 5-1 record, and the Wolves, when trailing after period number 1 in these playoffs, have a record of 3-2. Shots on goal in that first period. It sure didn't feel like it, but 21 shots were put on net by the Marlies. Caden Primo stopped 19 of them. The Wolves only put 5 towards Akhtiamov. But if you were watching the game, at least to me, it didn't feel like it was that lopsided. But Toronto just throwing shot after shot towards Caden Primo. But the Wolves have had their chances on the left-handed side as well in the Marlies defensive zone. But Marlies with 21 shots on goal in this first period. That beats the 17 they put on net in the second period just a game ago, as the Wolves here got to do a much better job of cleaning up the shots against in a 20-minute span, as this is happening a little too frequently now here in the rounds. It shouldn't. So I'll step aside here for the next 15 minutes, come back just about 5 minutes after the top of the hour. Right now, head on over to Matthew Owen's stream on this very YouTube channel. He's calling the World Cup. It's Canada versus Qatar, as he's live right now with JT producing the game. I'll be back 5 minutes past the top of the hour for period number 2 here from Toronto, as the Marlies lead the Chicago Wolves 2-1 through 20 minutes of play tonight. Again, my name is Jaric Rubel, and you're listening to this 2026 Calder Cup Final. It's live right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Welcome back into the Coca-Cola Coliseum here in Toronto, just next door to the Toronto Stadium, which is a host site to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. My name is Jaric Rubel. I'm glad to have you with me here for Game 4 of the AHL's Calder Cup Final, live on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Could be a cup-clinching night here in the 6 as the Marlies could sweep with a victory here tonight. And it was a good start for them as they're up 2-1 through 20 minutes of play, and they outshot Chicago. I don't think a single one of you would guess what the shot count was through one if I wasn't about to tell you. I promised you wouldn't. 21-5 in favor of Toronto. And they're up 2-1 through one period of play, but 21 shots on net for the Marlies in that first period, but the first goal of the game came to the Wolves 28 seconds in as Bradley Nadeau got his team leading 7th goal of the postseason from Juuso Välimäki. It's also Nadeau's 17th point on the postseason, which leads the Chicago Wolves. Then Jacob Quillen on the power play, just under 4 minutes later, got the equalizer from Easton Cowan and Vinny Lettieri. Lettieri's 25th point of the postseason, leading all of the AHL. Then Luke Hames, set up by Alex Nylander and William Villeneuve for his 4th of the postseason off a Ronan Seeley turnover. Villeneuve collects postseason assist number 18, as that leads the AHL as well in the assist column. And Alex Nylander, first assist this postseason. He had just 6 goals and no apples, but now he adds an apple to that bunch. So we're set for period 2 action. Marlies going right to left in this middle frame. Chicago going left to right. And I'm sure most of you tuning into an AHL game are big-time hockey fans. So if I told you this is the period of the long change, you will probably sigh and say, yes, I know. But the defensive zones are furthest away from the team's benches as the Marlies win the ensuing faceoff to begin the second. And we're underway here in period 2. Down to our left in the Wolves D zone in the far corner. Cowan trying to dig a puck out from Nystrom, but he couldn't, and the Wolves end up getting it out to center as the Marlies pretty much couldn't keep it at the end of the day, but they reset in neutral ice. Quillen over the far side, played it now back to him in the corner from Hames. It's pool cued to the left side. Torberg played it up the wall with a tap, came to the slot, shot by Cowan, deflected off a skate to the far corner. Quillen on it, dropped it back down low. Here's Torberg, had a lot of pep in his step in that first period, backhands it up high now. Twist to his forehand, went down low, but it deflects off Cowan back to center, and now the Marlies reset left side, Thrun touch pass off sides as it was a good head man ahead for Torberg, but the whistle goes. 43 seconds into the middle period. So in the second period this postseason, the Marlies are outscoring teams 22-14 as they have a +8 goal differential. That's the best goal differential of any period they have this postseason, as they've been able to do a good job in the second period in this series, as they had a lead at the end of 2 in games 2 and 3, and we'll see what happens here at the end of the second in game number 4. As through neutral ice, the top line's on for Toronto. They win the draw. They play it into the Chicago zone, as in the far right wing corner, the captain, Logan Shaw, will leave it behind for Bo Grew. The Quebec-raised kid lost it in behind the goal. It's taken by Fensori, flipped up the left wing to center. Here comes Chicago. Valimaki up ahead will chip it into the left wing corner. Look out for him, as he likes to get active down low near the goal line for the Wolves, as that was very evident in game number 2 of this series. But the Wolves come up empty-handed on this try down to our right. The Marlies fling it up the far wing with speed over the Chicago line. A drop pass finds Shaw at the far right circle. He tried to center it, but it came free to Philp instead, and the Wolves will get to the red line between the benches and chip it down low. Both teams changing here with a minute and a half played in the second period. Again, my name is Jaric Rubel. Glad to have almost 200 of you tuned in here to some American Hockey League action live on YouTube. If you like what you hear, hit subscribe as we're on the road to 1,100 subscribers. Don't be shy to hit the like button as well. And if you subscribe, you can comment. I wouldn't mind talking to some of you in the chat if you want to throw some comments in there. Be fun to chat amongst all of you as well. As back in come the Wolves, Brindamore on the far wall, tried a shot that went off the skate of Rafai, skate to the far corner in the Marlies zone. And I mentioned in game 3, as I'm sure all of you know as well, but Skylar Brindamore's dad, Rod Brindamore, Stanley Cup champion, is head coach of the Hurricanes, as now the Marlies up the far right wall get into the zone. Hames had a shot get blocked back to the corner, played up high now as here's Villeneuve at the point, trying to play it towards the net, went off a skate to the far corner. Nylander chipped it in behind. Pare can't grab it. The Wolves do, but they can't get it out. Played back to Villeneuve at the right point, threw it to the net, deflected off a skate to the near side. Gunler collects for the Wolves, and he'll get to the red line and ladle one into the Marlies zone in the right corner. Villeneuve on it, trying to shield away. Veerling lost it. Now Veerling behind the net, can't grab it, but it's centered in the slot anyway, and a one-timer put towards the goal by Pavlichev, shouldered away by his Russian mate in Akhtiamov. Back on the far wall, the Wolves can't keep it in as Valimaki got turned around. Meanwhile, the puck all the way down into the Wolf defensive zone as Pizzetta in the far right wing corner shields and drops it around to the near side. Sim will drop it, but it's taken by the Wolves' Fensori, who put it up the near boards, not out. Sim kept it. Johnstone will put it back down low. Pizzetta in the Wolf trapezoid centered it, taken away. Valimaki is on the right side. It's steered ahead for Neuchev. Neuchev right wall. Pavlichev, or I should say Ryabkin, will shoot it on in as the 3 Russians are on the ice here for the Wolves at the moment. Neuchev, Ryabkin, and Pavlichev as down in the far corner to our right. Pavlichev played it to the near circle. Here's Neuchev with a shot that rang off the crossbar. Beat Akhtiamov to the far side, but rang iron. On the far side, Johnstone's on it for Toronto. Flipped it ahead in front of the benches. Pizzetta will steer it in while getting clocked in behind by a Wolf, as now that check was delivered in behind by looks to be Neuchev as he heads to change, as Valimaki now skates it from behind his own net himself all the way out to the red line between the benches, and he'll wrist one in that goes around the goal. Akhtiamov couldn't play it to the near circle. It goes. Torberg tried to advance it, got tied up with Suzuki, but got it enough behind the goal where Rafai will drop it back. Now he pool cued it back to Rafai as he was trying to get a glove back on that was knocked off. Marlies here scrambling in their own zone. Thrun turned it over. Far circle. Here's Foot. Down low. Top of the goal. Robota. Stuff attempt. Rebound near side. Suzuki couldn't get it. Thrun cleared it around around the goal, and up the far side it goes. Marlies the other way, 3-on-2 into the Wolves zone, drop pass in the slot, Quillen to the left circle with a shot off the skate of Suzuki. Back in that near corner. Here's Quillen already with the power play goal tonight. To the left point, Mermis trying to flip shot, blocked by Seeley between the circles. Throw it up ahead on the left wing for Suzuki. Ladled it over the Wolf or for the Marley line for Nadeau. Down to the left circle. Here now Suzuki centering, but it came back on the near wall, and out the center comes Toronto once more. Cowan left wing, chipped it over the Wolf blue line. Gets to it first behind the goal line, shaked off Nystrom, and now on that far right corner, the Marlies try and battle for it as Letary fresh on. Gets over there with the top line, but it's played away by Nystrom for Chicago, and out the center, we're at the Marley logo. It'll be a shot in there on the right side by Philp as he tries to go after it against Bo Grew behind the Marley goal line. Picked up by Unger Sorum for Chicago. On that far wall, puck returned to him, but it went off a Marley skate to center, as on the far wall, Nystrom had to shuffleboard it along into the Toronto zone, but it's thrown this way. Mermis played it up the left wall. Grew has a man break into the goal. Letary couldn't get it to him as it just went right to Primo, and the easy save for the goaltender for Chicago, as now he catches a high stick, though he has a mask on from his own teammate there, as Noah Phillips in a bit of an exchange with Vinny Letary, and the back end there of the stick caught Primo right in the goal mask. But we have seen before where sticks have somehow gotten through and clipped him in the eyes, but don't have to worry about that here, as now a face-off will come to Caden Primo's left with just about 6 minutes gone by here in period number 2. So the Marlies going for the sweep here tonight, and there have been 19 sweeps in Calder Cup Finals history, 17 in a best-of-7, 2 of them came in a best-of-5. The most recent, though, were the Lake Erie Monsters' victory over Hershey back in 2016. That was a big dominant performance by Anton Forsberg. I am from Chicago. It's kind of how I got some of these Wolves games on TV at the start, as I have the local channels as they weren't on NHL Network. But Anton Forsberg, great playoff for Cleveland. Stanley Bowman, any Edmonton fans in here? I'm sure you're not a fan of him. I'm not either, but he traded Panarin and company for Anton Forsberg and Brandon Saad that ensuing summer, and it really didn't work out in Chicago whatsoever for him, but he found a nice home in LA last season, so congrats to Forsberg on that. Meanwhile, here come the Marlies top line back into our left in the Wolves zone. Letary tried a shot, went off the far post, came back up the far wall. It's going to be sauced back to Letary, who tried a shot again. That got blocked, but the Marlies top line's going to keep the pressure on in a mix of a change. Hames fresh on with the goal tonight. Driving on the far wall, draws a penalty. The Wolves are going to go short-handed here with 14-12 to go in the second period. So Luke Hames has had his mark all over this game. His number 43 has been very noticeable for Toronto, and he draws a penalty here as Dominic Fensori is going to take a seat for Chicago. He does not like this whatsoever, as he's still jawing at the Marlies, but he's now in the sin bin. The fans behind him cracking a bit of a laugh, as Toronto will go to the power play for the second time tonight. So they're 1 for 1 on their first try. It was the power play goal for Jacob Quillen, second of the playoffs from Cowan and Letary, as Letary with 15 assists, 3 assists behind Villeneuve now for the league lead. We'll see if he can catch him at some point. I was kind of keeping a side mental note of that, and that'd be crazy if Letary could. But Villeneuve here off a Marley faceoff win, possesses for Toronto. Came to the far circle, shot tried a one-timer, save made there by Primo. Rebound put up high by Grew over the near boards. Put up now on the left wing, Letary at the circle, got a return pass from the captain Shaw. In that left corner, Letary to the point. Villeneuve looking, drifting to the far side now. Put it between the dots for Shaw, drifting left circle Letary. Down low, pass deflected before it got to Grew, played it out of the corner, back to Letary left circle, down low Shaw, backdoor pass Cowan, had to play it back to the point as it wasn't in his wheelhouse. Villeneuve at the far point, just played it out of the zone himself as he tried to soccer it to his skate, and it went off the boards and out, but touching back up for the Marlies, back in they come, left wing Letary, then Grew shovel it to the near corner. Cowan played it through the blue paint, couldn't find a man on the back door as the Wolves let go will clear, as now the Marlies have to touch back up on the near side. If Letary touches it, they're offside, so he had to let it go, and the Wolves get possession back with 65 to kill off. Shot back down the ice by Seeley, around the Marley net it went, trickled in between the circles, but there to pick it up is Torberg, who flies now through center, right to left, gets over the red line in the Wolf blue, dropped it far circle, Nylander got tied up, lost possession, the Wolves will clear, as it's back out to center. Left side, Hames will drop it off as the Marlies still have to get onside, as now Danford in his own zone for Toronto, circles up to the far wall. at his blue line, dropped it off on the push and back entry for Quillen, who now activates. He tries to split the D on in. He chipped it to the far corner, got to it first, backhanded it around the goal. It went off the stanchion and bounced over the jumping glove of Luke Hames, who tried to keep it in, but it rolled past the penalty boxes into the Marlies zone with under half a minute now to go on their power play. 12 and a half left in period two. Marley still up 2-1 as back in they come to the Chicago zone. Far wall, return pass finds Quillen. One hand on a stick, goes behind the Wolf net, and it's up to the left point now for Luke Hames. Chipped it left corner. Torberg gave it back to Hames, fluttered it to the net, stopped down in front. Quillen now trying to stick handle to the left side, has it on his backhand. Along the boards, played it down low, taken away Legault, thrown up, not out. Hames tried to play it across, lost it with Slavin, came now to the far boards for Torberg. Torberg down low. Marley's on it in behind his Nylander, pivots to his backhand. Right circle Torberg, back down low Nylander. Nylander skates through the trapezoid to the left side. Penalty time now up, back to even strength as Nylander on the left wing trying to pivot to his backhand against Seeley. Lost possession. The Wolves get it as Legault has it, and he'll go across in front of the benches for Slavin. Back rink wide it goes for Robidoff, fresh on right side. Over the Marley line, he'll fling it back down low as it's behind the Marley net where it'll be played up the near wall by Benning. Benning had it go out to center in front of the penalty boxes. Now it'll be poked ahead by Pizzetta and into the Wolves zone. It rolls left corner. On its Nystrom. Pizzetta ties him up. Puck free to Johnstone, and he's going to get called for a penalty, Michael Pizzetta, as he'll be tagged for a hold. And when we come back, the Chicago Wolves will have their first power play opportunity of game number 4 and a chance to tie this game at 2 in period 2. As you're listening to game 4 of the AHL's Calder Cup final with Jaric Rubel, live right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Back in 90 seconds, and the Wolves will be on the power play. Back here in Toronto, where the Wolves power play will go to work for the first time tonight. 1 for 10 in the series, and overall this postseason 22.2%. The Marlies PK on the other hand in these playoffs 83.3%. They've killed off 60 of the 72 penalties they have taken, and they've killed off 16 of the last 19 as well. As my name is Jaric Rubel, welcoming you back into this second period. Marlies up 2-1, but lose the draw to begin this Wolf power play, as now they possess down to our right in the Marley zone. In the right wing corner, a pass comes back to Unger Sorum along the boards, centered at Valimaki, dropped it off Robidoff, far circle. Nadeau's one-timer from the far circle, shorted away Akhtiamov, rebound up the near side, and Karam to center as the puck rolls over the Chicago line and picked back up by Justin Robidoff. Dropped it off for Valimaki, acquired on January 5th from Utah. Puck over the Marley line, left side it's Nadeau, played it down around the goal. To the near side, Thrun trying to play it ahead for Toronto, tied up with Unger Sorum, tried to center, Shaw took it, he cleared it, and Toronto is able to get some fresh PKers on. 75 seconds to go on this power play for Chicago. Valimaki down to our left, circles his net, up the far wall he'll go, dropping it off at the circle in his own end for Suzuki. Suzuki kicks to the stick while losing it through center, lost possession, and the Marlies poke it back the other way. Robidoff gets back, as it was almost a break the other way for Toronto, but they misplayed it on their calculations. Back at the logo. There's Nadeau to the far wall. Robida twisted near side. Ungerstorm tried to shoot it, and he waited too long. It got knocked out of the play, but a penalty's coming up on Toronto, and it'll be a two-man advantage coming up for Chicago as Torberg's going to get notched for a slash, and he'll sit now, and the Wolves will have a two-man advantage here for just about 40 seconds here in period number 2. So let's see what the exact number of time is here. It's actually Johnstone who's getting called for Toronto. My apologies, not Torberg, as the camera immediately showed Johnstone. So I took the bait there and said it was him, or I should say Torberg, but it ends up being Johnstone. So he'll sit for Toronto for a slash. And now for 48 seconds, it will be a two-man advantage here for the Wolves with a chance to tie game 4. So first two-man advantage of the series. Face-off in the near circle, won by Robida. The Wolves possesses. Ungerstorm played it to Valimaki, who had trouble with it straight away. Hustles far boards, has it now. To the near side, Ungerstorm faked a shot, left circle. Nadeau backed in the slot for Valimaki. Valimaki right circle, Ungerstorm looking down to the near quarter. It's centered on top for Robida, but it's taken away by Thrun, and he gets it clear for Toronto. Under 25 seconds now to go on this 5-on-3 for Chicago as they come back to center and try and re-enter. Valimaki left wing. Suzuki dropped it over the line. Centering pass comes this way for Ungerstorm from Nadeau. Right circle. Ungerstorm dropped it off. Here's Valimaki looking. Long wrist shot off the end boards. It goes. Caught off on the back of the net. Suzuki around. Played it far circle for Nadeau. Along the boards in the final 5. Sent it this way for Robida on the 5-on-3 with a shot. Save made. Aktiamov. Rebound far corner. Penalty time up on Pizzetta. He's out of the box. Center. Good time. Valimaki. A shot fought off Aktiamov. Rebound near side. Wolves will keep it in. Slot. Here's Robida to the far circle. Trying to center's Philp. Had it knocked away. It came to Pizzetta. And now the Marlies are going to get it. The crowd's into it. As on the far wall, Pizzetta plays it through a Wolf defender. Gets it short-handed with a shot and a left pad save by Primo. What a splendid sequence here. Short-handed for the Marlies. But it's still a one-goal game. Back in the Wolves come right side. Ungerstorm down low. Valimaki centered it for Fensori. It came back behind the net. Valimaki again centering. Knocked down on top. Rafai takes it. The Marlies will clear. And it goes down the ice. Torberg chasing after it in the far right wing corner. Skating behind the Wolf net short-handed. Backdoor it goes, and a shot was fanned on. Looking for a center, gets it back to Torberg, but a good defensive back check by the Wolves broke that up as they have 25 seconds left on their power play. Back to center they come. Right side, Philp for Gunler. Tried to chip it back. The Marlies take it. Grew cleared, and it's back to center. Here's Fensori for Chicago. Left side, Seeley's back in. Turned it right over to Toronto over the line. Behind the goal, it's played for Rafai. Up the near boards, can't clear. Gunler will send it across. Seeley left circle. Back door off the corner. It'll bounce. Thrown to the right point for Gunler. Penalty time now up here, but the puck's still in the zone for Chicago. Far circle. Here's a center attempt. Here's Philp. Short side, a shot there that got blockered away by Aktiamov. Caromed all the way back to center. Marlies crowd loving it here. Some fans start to stand and wave their rally towels. Down to our right with 8 minutes to go in the second period. Matt Benning with it for Toronto behind his net. On the near wall, Rafai got it to center. Excuse me there. Is on the near side. It's deflected into the Chicago zone. As now Cal Foot played it now on the near wall. Nystrom will look for an outlet pass, turned it over. Bad attempt there. Letary left side, looking at the left circle, dropped it off. Fanning out a one-timer as the stick shatter was Murmis, came in the slot. Cowan a shot, blocked by a Wolf. Sprung up on the near side's Pavlichev. Pavlichev right wing over the Marley line, pulled up at the right circle. Looking to drop it off, found Nystrom, slid it across. Now here's Ryabkin to the far corner. Wolves on it down low as Philp driving to the net. Had it go off the back of the goal. And now here's the Wolves turning it over on the near side as the puck came to the Marlies. And it's flung across by Letary, but it's going to go for an icing now as Ryabkin will beat Cowan to it. And now Ryabkin here with a slash after the whistle, as now the linesman will separate him and Cowan. And we'll see if anything's going to come up to Ryabkin here, as that was a definite slash on the hands of Cowan. But if you've been tuned in throughout the course of this game, you've learned that the referees have let them play quite a bit here in game number 4. There's been a lot of penalties that should have been but haven't ended up been. As again, I look at the live listener count, 235 live listeners. I thank you all very, very much for hanging out with me here on this Thursday night. If somehow the Wolves force a game 5, you could find me back here tomorrow for that game, as it'll be at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. So subscribe to the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel to stay up to date. Face off to the left of Aktiamov. It's going to be pulled out by the Wolves as they won it too cleanly. And now they reset as on the near wing. It'll be Vierling steering it into the Marley zone. Shooting it right out of play was Aktiamov. And will this be a delay of game? I couldn't tell if the referee was signaling the penalty or if it was deflected. but it looks like we're going to have a commercial break before all of this happens. We'll see if anybody goes to the box before that, as it looks like it is indeed going to be the case. So when we come back, it should be a power play for the Wolves. Nothing exactly determined, as they did not put the camera on anybody going to the sin bin, but we will have an exact answer in about 80 seconds when I return here. Game 4 of the Calder Cup Final, live with Jaric Rubel on USM. Back here in Toronto, where it will be a Wolf power play for a delay of game penalty against the goaltender, Artur Akhtiamov for the Marlies. But after a terrific penalty kill, that was 5-on-3. And again, a 5-on-4. The Marlies have a lot of confidence going with a man down, so we'll see what they could pull off here in the late stages of the second period. Still 2-1 Toronto, as we have under 7 minutes to go here in period number 2, as it looks like there might not be a power play. I apologize. It looked like there was going to be after the commercial break, and when I came back, we had the penalty kill graphic. We saw a nice penalty kill breakdown by the Marlies broadcast crew, but no penalty kill to follow suit, so I apologize for the confusion, as we have 6.5 to go in the second period. Puck's down to our right, as it's in the Marlies defensive zone. Wolves going left to right in this period, and they possess in the offensive zone. On the right wing, down to our right, getting hit up against the boards there from Pare was Valimaki, Vierling, as the puck comes back out to center, and now resetting in the Wolves defensive zone is Fensori. He glides his way through center freely into the Marley zone, left side, tried a short side shot from the far wall, and it got blocked down by Akhtiamov. Rebound to the near side, Nadeau lost it. Danford will take it, played it behind the goal, and Rafai turned it over on the far wall. Played back down by Fensori. Here's a centering attempt from Nadeau, never made it to his intended target, as now it's rolling back into the Marley zone, or I should say the Wolves zone, as the Marlies are after it, as Valimaki played it away on the far side from Cohen. Out the center it goes for the Wolves. Left side, Robidas drops it over the Marley line. Left circle, Nadeau to the near side. A pass was picked off by Toronto. Is on the near side. Here's a pass from Quillen for Cowan, who intercepted that intercepted that pass beautifully, but he ended up icing this puck here now on that pass to Cohen. So at 5:32 to go in the second period, we have ourselves another icing whistle. But coming up again tomorrow on USM, for the listeners that are new to this channel, perhaps, if you're interested in the World Cup, we got a pair of games for you. Matthew Owens has both of them, United States and Australia, at 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, and then Scotland and Morocco at 6 Eastern, both of those games on this very YouTube channel. So face-off one in the near circle to the left of Akhtiamov. His foot plated down low for the Wolves. Wraparound try by Slavin, never made it to the goal. As on the far wall, unable to keep a puck in for Chicago was Nystrom. Is now back on the near wall. It'll be Foot steering it back in for Chicago in the Marlies D zone. Quillen will play it right back out the center, though, as both teams here trying to just get through neutral ice. As now having trouble at this moment is Chicago, as the Marlies doing a good job here through neutral, but now back on the far side. Here's Philp, had his stick check, lost it, but it came to Unger Sorum, dragging through his legs, left circle, kept possession, played it to the goal, off a skate it goes, and it's covered by Akhtiamov on top of the blue paint, as that went off a Wolf skate right towards his 5-hole, but he was able to cover. 4:49 to go here in the second period, and it looks like we will take that final timeout. So we'll step aside one last time for 90 seconds in this period. Back in a moment on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Back here in Toronto, where the Marlies looking to close out this Calder Cup final, lead it late in period 2-1 over the Chicago Wolves. Jaric Rubel with you here live on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel, as it's been 2-1 since the 9:58 mark of the second period when Luke Hames gave Toronto the lead, but since then it has been nothing in this second period. We'll see if the Wolves could find a way to force a Game 5. If so, it would be tomorrow on this very YouTube channel at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. So stay tuned for that if we get there. Meanwhile, back on the ice, the puck's free into the Wolves zone, down to our left as Seeley played it up through center. Robidoux gets it at the red line, skates left wing into the Marlies zone. While falling, backhanded it down behind the goal line. Benning will take it, chipped it up the far wing. Shaw tried to play it out. It's knocked down with the high stick by Seeley, but the Marlies will touch it, so we play on. In the far corner, it's played around the throne on the near side by Benning. Up ahead for Grew, goes off his skate to Shaw. In front of the penalty boxes, tried to play it over the Wolf line. Legault played it right back in the penalty box region, but Grew will send a bouncing puck down to our left into the Wolves zone. The Marlies look to perhaps get a change on, but Lettieri's still out there shadowing Seeley at the moment, but Seeley gets a puck to center for Chicago, as now on the far side, here's Legault, the defenseman, leading the rush over the Marlie line, tried a shot that goes off the end boards to the near circle, on its run for Toronto, and he played it up in the near side. Pizzetta with it, played it across short hair, and for Johnstone, I should say, on the short side. And that ended up going into the glove of Primo with 3:47 left here in this second period. But this fourth line for the Marlies, really good. Johnstone, Pizzetta, and Sim. As Johnstone, the center of this line here, it's his second stint with the Marlies, as he spent the previous 2 seasons with Wilkes-Barre. But he has 1 goal so far this postseason. Should have had a second in game number 3, as he had a couple of good opportunities shorthanded a game ago. But he's definitely been noticeable in this series for Toronto, despite not having any points in the series. Sims baited the Wolves into some penalties. Pizzetta's looked good as always, as he's had NHL time as well with Montreal, so he's no stranger to bigger games, as he's also been in the conference final with the Laval Rocket, along with Caden Primo of the Wolves a few times, as now through a face-off, the puck went through neutral ice, but as it was shot into the Marlies zone, it went out of play all the way behind the goal to our right, so I believe this face-off will stay in neutral ice with 3:40 to go here in the second period. So if the Marlies hang on to this lead through 2 periods of play tonight, they're 10-0 when leading through the second period. So if the Wolves want to try and give themselves a good shot with some stats that won't go against them, they want to try and strike here in the next 3:40. The face-off here in neutral ice is won by Johnstone and the Marlies, as in front of the penalty box. Now bodies collide as Johnstone hit the deck, puck up the near wall, however, as Pizzetta got it behind the Chicago goal. Around the goal it went, and on that far side, Sim's going to go after it, bodied up against the boards by Fensori, as the puck now gets knocked down low by Neuchev. Wolves throw it up on the far side. It does get out, as on the far wall, Villeneuve tried to play it, got it along back over the Wolf line, but now it's sent rink wide on the near side and picked up into the near corner of the Marlies zone. zone. Camera trying to follow the plays. It was caught up in behind, but now we're back down to our right. The Marlies have the puck as Dakota Mermis gets to center. He'll play it over the logo. It's deflected into the Wolves zone. No icing, so it'll be played by Primo to the far corner. Nystrom collects with under 3 minutes to go in the second. Puck flipped high over the logo. Bounced over the Marley blue line. Offsides if the Wolves touch it, but the Toronto players do, and now it looks like, are they going to call it delayed offsides? Doesn't look like it, as Ryabkin came roaring in to play that puck. Now gives a little jab to Hames after the fact, but does not look like they're going to call a purposeful offsides there, but the faceoff will come out to neutralize here at 2:46 to go in the second period. So the Wolves here, again, down 3-0 in this series. They lost game 1 by a multi-goal deficit, but it was an empty netter by Vinny Lettieri that made it such. The other loss came in overtime on Sunday, and then in game 3, losing 1-0. But all these games in the series have been close games, as the leagues like to count the empty net multi-goal wins as well as close games, so all 3 have been such. But the Marlies have come out on the better end of all 3 of them, and these Calder Cup playoffs have had some crazy turns for the Wolves. We'll see if they have another one in them. But the Marlies, as I mentioned in the open, they have swept 4 previous series, and they have never ended up losing a game 5 or a game 4 in which they can sweep. So we'll see if they can make it now a perfect 4-0 when sweeping a series, or I should say when winning game 4 to sweep a series. As through all that, an icing here is going to be called on the Wolves as a bouncing puck on a pass missed. So a whistle here at 2:16 to go in period number 2. So face-off will come back into the defensive zone once more for Chicago. It'll be Quillen out there to take this draw for Toronto against Skylar Brindamore for Chicago. It's played off the backboards by Skylar Brindamore, now thrown out the center by Cal Foote as a bouncing puck goes over the Marley blue line. Villeneuve's on it. He's being pressured by Gunler. Puck, though, comes free to Mermis. Left side, played it up, sprung free on a breakaway. Here's Torberg driving, shooting, he scores! What a play and what a finish! Torberg makes it 3-1, Toronto. So the Marlies get a multi-goal lead here before the second intermission, as what a pass up ahead by Dakota Mermis as he caught the Wolves changing. Slavin was trying to get on the ice. Meanwhile, Torberg, who's had Pep in his step all night, got a step in on him, stayed onside while collecting the pass, and fighting through a stick check of Slavin, was able to shoot it past the blocker side on the near post of the goaltender Caden Primo. And Ryan Torberg gets his 6th goal of this postseason. So now a minute 55 to go in the second period. Looks like we had a little bit of an issue off the ensuing faceoff. So we have another one coming up here, as Torberg's been noticeable all night for Toronto, and he was able to get a breakaway marker here to make his team now just 21 minutes and 55 seconds away from a Calder Cup championship. Faceoff won at center by the Marlies as Shaw pulled it back, but it's cleared on the left side by Mermis into the Wolves zone for an icing, as he was shy of the red line when dumping that in. So a minute 47 now to go in period number 2. Faceoff coming back into the offensive zone for the Wolves, as they now are in a multi-goal deficit in this game. As I believe, off the top of my head, besides the empty netter, this is the first multi-goal deficit as well they have faced in the series, as they only trailed 3-2 and 4-3 in games 2, and obviously 1-0 in all of game 3. And a face-off here to the left of Akhtiamov, going to be won by the Wolves. Here's now Unger Sorum straight away with a flip shot, deflected into the near right wing corner. The Marlies get it, they'll clear. Back at center, Legault will go across to Seeley. Seeley will shoot it in off the skate of Villeneuve. It goes to the far corner. On it's for Chicago. Philp, as he's now tied up with Villeneuve, trying to soccer the puck away from it. Came free. Unger Sorum got it to the left point, but it's knocked out by Toronto. Excuse me. As now the Marlies will change. The Wolves will reset. It's on the right wall. Philp will tip a puck back into the Marlies zone with under 75 to go in the second period. Here's Logan Shaw in front of his own goal. Pass up straight ahead. Onside. Now Sim can't grab it as it's taken away, but turned over Legault, and now we have a stoppage in play here. And it looks like too many men on the ice is going to be called here against the Marlies, as the linesman here with the call. As now he's talking to Fensoriers. The Marlies had the puck when the whistle went. And now Fensori's pleading his case here as he's kind of going shrug shoulders up. As I believe this penalty should go against Toronto. But Obviously, the referees make some mistakes as well, and we'll see exactly who's going to the box, and it's going to be against the Wolves. So the Marlies, at least in my eyes, had possession of that puck when the whistle went, and I think that whistle should not have gone as soon as it did, but the Wolves here are going to get tagged for too many men, and they're now going to take a seat here down 2 goals late in period number 2. So when it rains, it pours here for the Chicago Wolves, as they're going to have to find a way to try and extend their season in tough fashion, as they're going to have to kill off a penalty here to kill off period 2, and then if they are able to do that, they'll have 55 seconds more to deal with in the third period while having to mount a multi-goal comeback. Marlies starting to smile on their bench, as I think they could start to feel it as an ozone draw comes up here with 1:05 left in the second period. Marlies to the power play off the too many men on the ice call as Shaw wins the draw at the far circle. Back it goes for straight away. Villeneuve kept it onside while almost losing it, got it across to Cowan, played it down low, grew backhanded in front, couldn't find Shaw, came to the blue line for Cowan though, creeps into the slot, tried a shot, deflected by Grew off the end boards. On that far wall, it's kept in by Villeneuve while falling there. I don't think he needed to spill the way he did, but he took a tumble. Meanwhile, Wolves get it, can't clear. Off of Brindamore skate to Shaw. The Marlies keep it. Far wall where Shaw gets a return pass from Villeneuve. Behind the goalie, skates to the left wing corner. Final 35 of the second. Drop pass in the slot. Cowan goes to the right point for Villeneuve. To the far right circle. Here's Bo Grew taking a look. Grew to the far wall. Down low, here's Cowan going short side off the goalpost. It's behind Primo, and he's able to get a glove on it for the whistle, as Shaw was lurking there on top of the blue paint, but Primo's able to put a paw on it. And with 22.7 to go in the second, the whistle goes, and 1:18 remains on this Toronto power play. So a look here at the replay as Cowan, from down low at the far circle, shot one short side off the post, off the back of Primo, and he was able to find it by his left pad and get a glove on it before any second chance opportunity ensued. So a lucky, I wouldn't call it a lucky bounce, but a fortunate bounce, I guess you could say, for the Wolves, as they're able to keep that puck out of their net. As now back out the center, they clear it with 10 seconds to go, but the Marlies back on it, send it left side for Letary, creeping it over the Wolf line, going down low with it, put it on top of the paint, couldn't find Shaw, the Wolves will clear, and that will kill off the rest of the second period. So a 2-goal lead and part of a power play remaining for the Marlies to start the third period as they look to complete the sweep of the Chicago Wolves coming up and win their Calder Cup championship for the second time in 9 seasons. So stay tuned as we'll see if they're able to close the door in game number 4 and win this Calder Cup. The lone goal of this period was scored by Ryan Torberg, his 6th of the postseason, set up by Dakota Mermis as he was sprung on a breakaway, got his stick checked by Josiah Slavin, but still got a shot free and beat Primo to the near side. As looking to see if there was a secondary assist given to this goal, there was not, so it's just Torberg from Mermis at 17:59 of the second period. Overall shots in this hockey game, the Marlies, not as many shots in period 2. They only had 5, but 1 went in courtesy Torberg. The Wolves doubled up their shots from period 1. They had 10 this period, but none able to beat Artur Akhtiamov. So, come back just at the top of the hour, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. The third period is looming, and perhaps a Calder Cup celebration is looming as well here at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, with the Marlies up 3-1 after 40 over the Chicago Wolves. They're 10-0-0 when leading through 40 minutes this postseason, and the Wolves, on the other hand, are 3-2, or I should say wrong numbers, 2-4 when trailing after 40 minutes in this playoff. So come back top of the hour. It could be the final period of hockey you get to enjoy until September rolls around. Keep that in mind. The grand finale could be on its way here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. You're hanging out with Jaric Rubel. The Marlies are up 3-1, looking to win this Calder Cup. I'll see you for the third on the other side. back here in Toronto, where the Marlies take a 3-1 lead into the final period of regulation time of Game 4 as they lead this Calder Cup final 3-0 and have an opportunity here in these final 20 minutes to close it out, sweep the Wolves, and hoist their second Calder Cup in 9 seasons. Ken, hello everyone, my name is Jaric Rubel. So glad to have plenty of you here with me tonight on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel, where the Marlies lead at 3-1 here to begin period number 3. They'll have 55 seconds of carryover power play time. The goal scorers in this game, the Wolves 28 seconds in, Bradley Nadeau from Ayuso Valabaki, his 7th of the playoffs. Then the Marlies with the next 3, Quillen on the power play from Cowan and Letary. Then Hames set up by Nylander and Villeneuve. Then Torberg set up by Mermis. And then Villeneuve during the intermission was given credit to the second assist on that Torberg goal. So he now sits at 19 assists these playoffs. I think he should be at 20, but unfortunately there's not a third assist that could be given out on the Jacob Quillen goal. Otherwise, he would have it. But before this third period begins, as it could be the last period of hockey in this 25-26 season that we get to broadcast, I want to give a special thank you to Matthew Owens. He's the creator of this channel, the founder of the Ultimate Sports Media platform, as you could hear him plenty of times throughout the week calling World Cup action on Friday and Saturday and the NASCAR race on Sunday. He's brilliant, and he was very gracious enough to reach out to me 5 years ago to broadcast some games for him on then the Mixer channel before we came over here to YouTube. And boy, let me tell you, I go back and I could listen to some of those games from 21, 22, nowhere near the kind of thing you hear now on the channel, as I was brutal about 5 years ago. But I think I've gotten better now. I'm definitely not perfect, but I think I've definitely gotten very stronger in this position, and I thank Matthew Owens a lot for not making me pay a dime for anything either. He's very kind enough to do everything himself in terms of the financial, and he just wants me here to stream games on the channel and pump content out to you guys, so I appreciate him very kindly. As now the third period gets underway here in Toronto, as the Marlies again have power play time to work with, as they now have possession down to our left, as they attack left to right. In this third period, the Wolves going right to left. Again, my name is Jaric Rubel. Glad you're with me on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. So back in come the Marlies as the puck's chipped into the right wing corner of the Wolves zone. Shaw's on it, up at the half boards. He tried to play it back down low. It gets there, but it's cut off by Legault on the near side. He'll backhand one the other way as it rolls over the Marley blue line, and Villeneuve takes it back. He'll now circle back as the Marlies want to change in the final Baker's dozen of the power play. But dropped off now for Henry Thrun as he seems content with just letting this power play run down. As we're down to the final 3 seconds, now 2, as time expires on that power play. And we're back to even strength after that delay of game, or I should say too many men on the ice call by the Wolves at the end of the second. So Chicago back to full strength, down 2 goals here in this third period, facing elimination as the Marlies can sweep and win the Calder Cup. Puck down to our left, and the Marlies D zone came out in front. Gunler a shot, save made, Akhtiamov. He's been brilliant for the Marlies here in this series as Thrun will get a clear to center. It'll bounce it to the Wolves zone, and it won't roll far enough for icing, says the linesman, as it died right on the goal line. Back on the far wall, the Wolves get it just out to center, but Cowan will steer it right back in and head after it on the near right wing. Nystrom on it first for Chicago. He gets free in the near side, does a little pirouette move to get past from Quillen, but Quillen now all over him, takes him down, puck's free, right corner. Torberg takes it. John Trodrag's in the slot with a shot, and it's blocked there by Chicago. As on the near side, Philp takes it, goes rink wide, far side, driving it on the right wing into the Marlies' own Slavin. Put on the brakes on his forehand, dropped it down low now, and around the goal it goes in the Marley end left corner. Popped in behind for Unger Sorum in the trapezoid. Cutting wide, left side now, it's thrown to Philp. Tried to center it, it's popped up in the air, came now to Cohen as he sends it rink wide, and a 2-on-1's developing. Torberg break into the goal, tried to feed it to him, was Quillen on the far side, but it got deflected away by Fensori, and now it's up the near side by the penalty boxes. The Wolves are on it, skating left wing into the Marley zone's Unger Sorum. He's taken down by Villeneuve by here, but no penalty as the Marlies take it right back. And now up on the far wall, it's cleared between the benches and chipped in by Quillen, who heads to change. 2.5 gone by here in this third period. Puck behind the Wolf net to the near side. Here's Villeneuve, a shot here. It just came to him at the right side, and he let a big slap shot go from along the boards that Primo was able to gobble up as he'll hang on here with 17:26 to go in this third period. So Chicago here trying to get back in this one. They had a good try from behind the goal line as Vierling poked it ahead for Gunler, but he could not beat Akhtiamov to the glove side. And then Toronto off a Wolf turnover in neutral ice. Turberg had not one but two chances. The first try got blocked. The second try, the pass never found him, as on the back door he was beaver tapping, trying to get his second goal of the game. But instead now is on the bench here, taking a sip of water as the Marlies get the fourth line on the ice. It's Johnstone with Pezzetta and Sim. So Johnstone in to take this draw for Toronto as he'll go up against Ryan Suzuki for Chicago, brother of Nick Suzuki. Yes, if you're wondering, as the Marlies win the draw on the right point. Here's Benning going down low with it. Wolves will end up with it though, as on the left side it's played up to Nadeau. He has trouble with it. Now Johnstone takes it, right circle, centered. Sim trying to toe drag at the dot, couldn't find it at the right circle. Nadeau will put it behind the goal while getting stood up by Sim as the puck's around for Nystrom. Set it this way, Sim picked it off, backhanded it, Johnstone's in, right wing, taking a hit here from Legault along the boards. Now goes down to the ice as they both flop down on their bellies. Meanwhile, puck far left corner for Pezzetta. Pezzetta here on his backhand, threw it down low. Now Johnstone out of the far corner will collect it. He'll drop it back even lower to the goal line. Grufresh takes it, left circle, tried to play it to the right point. It's picked off by the Wolves and backhanded the safety by Nadeau, but it's pumped right back in now by the Marlies, and Primo behind his net will let it roll around for the Wolves to get back on it. Suzuki will leave it for Nystrom, who chipped it in the near corner. And now Chicago's Brindamore played it up ahead. Across on the right side it goes. Neuchev fresh on. Sent it near circle. Here's Suzuki as Riab can break it to the goal. Couldn't get it to him as they went behind him. Taken away by Bogru and chipped out the center by Toronto. As shots now are 27-16 in favor of the Marlies. As now back down to our right behind the Wolf net. It'll be Nystrom playing a puck to center. That snap now on the left side for Riabkin, weaving over the Marley line, but he couldn't do nothing with that puck. As now the Wolves again here at center with 4 minutes played in the third period. Marlies here trying to hang on and win their second championship in 9 seasons as the Wolves snap it back to our left and the trapezoid behind the Marley net. Villeneuve put it up but not out. Kept by Valimaki. Dropped left point. Neuchev will take it and he'll back skate along to the right side. His wrist shot went off a skate. That was Nylanders to the far corner. It went Valimaki. Up top it goes again. The Wolves possessed to the left circle. Fensori is shot. He scores! Dominic Fensori, the defenseman, with a snapshot from the left circle, beats Akhtiamov to the far side, and the Wolves are within a goal. So Dominic Fensori gets his 4th goal here of the Calder Cup playoffs, as the Wolves here had the pressure on in the O-zone, and they were able to snap it around where Fensori got a pass from Riabkin at the left circle, and he let that shot go over the left shoulder on the far side of Akhtiamov, who was screened on top of the paint with Pavlichev on the drive-by, and his own defenseman Dakota Mermis as well lurking in front. So the Wolves back within a goal here. The Marlies turn it over off the ensuing faceoff, and a shot gloved down. Akhtiamov played back. The Wolves keep possession. Far wall. Up to the point. It's going to go left side. Legault one-timer off the end boards. Trying to bake it. It's Gunler. Where is it? It's behind Akhtiamov. No whistle. Now it blows as nobody could find where that puck went. As it appears to be Vierling's trying to look from behind the net here, trying to say that this puck's in, as right off the ensuing faceoff following the goal by Chicago, Vierling set up Legault for a one-timer off the end boards, and it went off the right skate of Akhtiamov, and I believe Gunler put it back through his legs. As I see that puck now, it came back out through the top of the 5-hole on the blue paint, and it was sandwiched between the pads and the goal stick of Akhtiamov, who did get a clean whistle. So face-off coming back in the Marley D zone with 15-18 to go now in the third period, as the Wolves now have gotten this to within 1 as they're fighting to keep their season alive, and they would have a game tomorrow if they do such a thing, 7 Eastern, 6 Central here in Toronto, live on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. But they're going to need a 2 more goals to even think about that, as they're down 3-2 with 15-17 to go in the third. And the Marley Shaw wins a D-zone draw that Villeneuve will flip the other way into the Wolves zone down to our right. It'll be picked up by Legault and skated behind his own net. He'll leave it now for Seeley. He's being pressured by Letary. Had to hurry it up the wall. Turned it over to Grew. Now here's Shaw down low with a shot there. And it went off the end boards with a hard ricochet to Seeley, who put it back up the left boards. The Wolves to center. Thrown deep by Unger Sorum in the left wing corner. Around the Marley goal it'll go. It'll be picked up. Burmis put up on the far side. Chopped to center by Letary. But it might go for an icing, and it will. As it goes just far enough in the far corner as Nystrom touches up with 14:46 to go in the third period. So the Marlies coach John Gruden here looks a little frustrated as his eyes are starting to bounce around like Connor Hellebuck warming up for the Winnipeg Jets before the games, as I think Braden Holtby, haven't heard that name in a while, but I think he as well. They would show him on the NHL Network going out there and his eyes just ping-ponging around on the bench warming up before the game. That's kind of how John Gruden looks right now on the Toronto bench, as now the Wolves win another O-zone draw to the right point foot, send it into the near corner with an area play for Robidas, who scoops it up. He'll skate now past the circle near the slot to the far right side. He tried a shot, blocked out in front, rebound given in the slot, picked up Robidas, wraparound, he scores! We're tied at 3 as Justin Robidas even the score with 14:32 to go in the third. So heads up thinking by Cal Foote as he just put this puck in the near corner off the faceoff as Robidas got on his horse from the far corner, got to it, and he was able to get a shot on net. A mad scramble ensued on top of the paint. The puck squirted free to him on the far side of the net, and he was able to skate around for a wraparound on his forehand against the near post, past the right pad of Akhtiamov. And Robidas, 7th of the postseason, has tied game 4 at 3. So a timeout now being taken by the Marlies as John Gruden's talking to his club. As I told you before the Wolf goal happened, he looked like he could tell his team did not have the game he wanted them to play. As his eyes were ping-ponging around, he looked like he was biting his lip, thinking real hard. And just seconds after, his team ends up giving up the tying goal, as now the Wolves here have tied this game in period 3. So now we get set to drop the puck here back again in the Marley defensive zone. Here with 14:32 to go in the third. Again, Robidas' 7th goal of the postseason for the Wolves. That ties Bradley Nadeau for the team lead. As now a face-off at centers won by Brindamore, and the Wolves will dump it into the Marley end. Down to our left, it'll go in the near corner. The Wolves get it, thrown in front. Gunler centered on top of the paint. Vierling couldn't grab it on his backhand. He gets it out of the far corner as Danford presses him to the boards for Toronto. The Marlies get it. They'll play it ahead, but missing the pass was Torberg, and he ends up having to get back, and it will result in an icing here instead. So Fensori touched up with 14:13 to go in the third, as the Wolves here with 2 quick ones have found a way to tie this game in the third, as the latest goal coming courtesy Justin Robidas. Immediately after that as well, Vierling almost had a good chance on his backhand, but couldn't field the pass cleanly. Face off to the left of Akhtiamov to our left, won by the Marlies, and around the goal it goes, and Torberg chipped it out the near side as Cohen in front of the penalty boxes goes rink wide in front of the benches for Danford. He poked it into the Wolves zone, got it himself, spun it free to the slot, but it's picked off by Fensori, chipped back out the center. As on the near wall, Unger Sorum can't grab it, Philp will. He's tied up now at Torberg in front of the Wolf blue line on the near side. Now it popped free, the puck did. Unger Sorum took it, played it ahead, Slavin won't find it, Benning will for Toronto, as he played it off the near glass back to center. Bounced at the Wolf blue line, gloved by Quillen, can't steer it in. Now puck poked up ahead by Philp, but now fresh on the ice is Thrun to be able to nullify that zone entry, and now the Marlies will dump it on in from the red line. Under 13.5 to go in the third period now. The Wolves have tied this game at 3. You're listening in to the Calder Cup final on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel with Jaric Rubel, as the Wolves tip a puck back into the Marley zone down to our left, as it'll be played in the far corner. It'll be rug around by Johnstone up to the near wall, not out. Seeley kept it, shot it off the end boards. Behind it goes. Deutschev centers, trying to get its Pavlichev. Knocked around near side. Marlies get it. Thrun trying to clear. Goes up the near boards and it gets out the center. Legault back on it at his own blue line for Chicago with under 13 minutes now to go. in the third. All Wolves here in the third period as Neuchev weaves his way back in. Got knocked down, left side the puck goes. Pavlichev, a shot goes off the right pad of Akhtiamov. Rebound to the left wing corner. Going to be picked back up by Pavlichev, trying to center, came back to him in the slot, now to the far point foot. He tried a wrist shot that went off the skate of Ryabkin and deflects out of play here now with 12:40 to go in the third period. We'll step aside for the first time in the third period. Back in 90 seconds with this game all even at 3 all of a sudden between the Wolves and Marlies, with the Marlies looking to sweep and win the Calder Cup. Back with you here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. 3-3 tie in the third in Game 4 of the Calder Cup final. The Marlies led 3-1 after 2. The Wolves have stormed back here in the third with 2 of their own to equalize it. As we'll see if there will be a Game 5 tomorrow night or if the Marlies will come through here with a late victory to win, of course, the Calder Cup. So face off here, coming back down to our left. There's 12.5 just about to go in the third, and the Marlies win it. It'll go around on the near side. This will end up in icing, though, as foot's back on it first for Chicago. So at 12:33 to go, an icing whistle again here on the Marlies, and the face off comes back down to our left, and an O-zone draw here for Chicago. So the top line on the ice, though, for the Marlies in this defensive zone, Shaw, Grew, and Lettieri, as the fans here in Toronto now watching on as the faceoff's going to be won by the Wolves to the left of Akhtiamov in the O-zone for Chicago. Nadeau trying to center across for Rubel, but the pass went behind him and goes back to center. So now Cal Foote will go ahead and sling it back into the Marley end. Behind the net, it's scooped up by Benning. Benning, left wall, put it up to center, past the penalty boxes. No icing as Grew's going to get on it first behind the Wolf net. It'll be picked up in the far corner as Foote presses him to the boards. Poked up to the blue line, not out yet as Seeley can't get it, but now does. As on the far side, it's chipped into the Marley zone, but it's going to go for an icing as Benny's going to get there first. And the whistle goes. Now 12:03 now remaining in this third period. As a reminder, coming up tomorrow on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel, Matthew Owens has a pair of World Cup games. It'll be the United States and Australia at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, then Scotland and Morocco following that at 6 Eastern, 5 Central. And again, if the Wolves win tonight, you could find Game 5 of this series here tomorrow as well, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, with yours truly, Jaric Rubel on the call. So the Wolves win a D-zone draw down to our right in the near corner as Foote goes this way and Suzuki plays it to center. Nadeau has it for Chicago over the Marley line left side, dropped it for Robodop, pivoting at the left circle, goes across with it. Fensori from the far wall, tried a shot that went off the end boards, back up the near side, and on it for Toronto now is Pare. Pare with not a lot of ice time in this third period, tried to go rink wide for Nylander, it was read by the Wolves, thrown back to center, where Fensori in front of the penalty boxes had a pass for Nadeau, but it would have been offside if he touched it, and now got caught at center on the right side. side. Nylander with a shot from the right circle. Save made Primo. Rebound to the far wall. Trying a shot there was Quillen, but it never made it to the net. The Wolves, meanwhile, get it back to center past the penalty boxes. Left wing to Doe over the Marley line. Dropped it in the slot. Running it through his legs to Suzuki. Tried to go back door, but couldn't hit his man with the pass, as that would have been a heck of a play had it went in. Back to center, though. The Marlies have it. Galloping through center's Cohen on the right side over the Wolf line. Trying to shake his way to the goal. Short side of the save made Primo, and a rebound went free to the far wall. On that far wall, Cohen back to the right circle. Danford, far side shot and a save. Primo with the right skate. Rebound to Quillen, far wall. Jacob Quillen now back down low behind the goal. It'll roll to the near circle on the right side in the Wolves zone. It's played to the right point for Danford. Danford goes back down low with it in the right corner. Taken away from Torberg's blade. Played up by the Wolves to center past the penalty boxes, as now Marshall Rafai's back on it for Toronto with 10:37 to go in the third. He skates back to center. Goes from the far side to the right wing. Now into the Wolves zone. Button hooks at the near circle. Now pulling up, looking for a trailer fresh on the ice. Sim trying to get through the slot, but the puck bounced off his blade to the near side, defended by Seeley. Marley still with it, right corner. Johnstone trying to center, got tied up. Trying to stay with it, though, as his stick now gets lifted. Puck free along the near half boards. Came back down low to the corner. It bounces around. Seeley trying to move it along for Chicago, as it's under his right skate. He's trying to soccer it along. It came off of Logan Sim, still in that near corner down to our right, as there's now 10 minutes left in the third. The Wolves will dig it out. Near side pass from Nystrom finds Vierling from in front of the penalty boxes to steer it in. Rolls free to the far corner. Vierling on it. Dropped it. Got a return pass from Ungersorum. Out of the right wing corners, Evan Vierling. Up to the blue line. Dropped it. Ungersorum right wing along the boards. Ran out of racetrack. Johnstone took it away from him, and he sends a down and outer pass over the Wolf blue line, rolling into the zone. No icing as Fensori picks it up on top of the blue paint. Played it off the far right wing boards to center. Bouncing puck now past the benches into the Marley zone. Thrown back this way by Murmis. Missed Pizzetto with the pass. Won't go for it. An icing as Shaw. Great hustle against Legault to nullify it. Behind the goal. It's popped out in front. Grew tried to soccer it past Primo, but it wouldn't have counted had it gone in. Meanwhile, back to center, the Wolves flip it. Now in front of the penalty boxes. Ungersorum got skated by Letary on the near wing. He tries to go across, but a pass went off the skate of Philp. Back behind the Wolf goal. Came up to the blue line. Murmis played it down low. Grew trying to center. Came to Shaw. Shaw in the slot. Trying to play it to the net. And it's stopped by Primo on that backhand try, as he dives out on his belly to make the stop. So 9:04 to go in the third period. We're tied at 3 as the Marlies are looking to win a Calder Cup. The Wolves looking to force a Game 5 tomorrow. Let's see what happens. .904 to go, third period of play from the Coca-Cola Coliseum here in Toronto. Jaric Rubel, glad you're with me. Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. Game 4 of this Calder Cup final between the Chicago Wolves and Toronto Marlies. Marlies lead the series 3-0. Game 4 is tied at 3 goals apiece in period 3. So the Wolves with 2 blows here in the third to tie it at 3, as they have a D-zone draw coming up here, though, down to our right, as it's going to be won by Robidas against Logan Shaw. Wolves' Cal Foot will play it up to center in front of the benches. At the red line, it'll go. Shaw took it back for Toronto, pivots and gets space back in center. Over the logo, he'll skate. Chipped it right wing into the corner. He'll go after it. Beats Foot into it. His foot wasn't moving his skates there. His foot better move his feet. but he did not, as that's a terrible pun by me. I apologize. As back at center, the Marlies reset on the right side. Here's Bo Grew. Back over the Wolf line, trying to shake free of a pair of white sweaters. Did. Chipped it to himself. Right wing corner. Has it. Down low he goes with it. On his backhand through the trapezoid. Pivots in the far left corner. Dipsy doing the slot. A backhand try to save by Primo, as that was a rising backhander by Bo Grew, as the Wolves just let him do what he wanted. In down low, as he went from the right side around the goal to the left and back to the slot with a backhand try, but Primo able to stay with it. So just a great individual effort here on this shift by Bo Grew, as he was able to get by 4 different Wolves players on this try, but Primo there on top of the paint with a good left shoulder save. So face-off coming back to his right. Caden Primo, as he returned to the Chicago net in Game 2 after missing the previous 3 games. As now the face-off going to be pulled back by Philp. The Wolves will possess. Behind the net, Valimaki. On the left side, Philp with it. Steered a backhander over the red line. Slavin left side gets it over the Marley Blues. Still with it. Fighting off a check from Pare. Now lost it as Pare played it back to center. Hames trying to track after it for Toronto, but Valimaki steered it to the far side away from him. Fensori the return to Valimaki. At the logo, Philp chipped it left side behind Slavin. As now Slavin along the boards got pinched up against the glass by Pare. Puck free at the logo, taking Nylander. Takes it over the Wolf line, skates to the left circle, puts up the brakes, now to the point. Here's Mermis, long wrist shot, swallowed up there by Primo, as he's able to gobble that up with a little bit of a screen in front of him to his right, with 7:48 to go in the third period. So Dakota Mermis with that shot has an assist on the Ryan Torberg goal. That was 3-1 at the time in favor of Toronto. But Mermis born in Alton, Illinois, as he was also a January 5th birthday, same as me. So another Illinoisan being born on January 5th. Got to get a Dakota Mermis jersey maybe, perhaps, as it's also his second season here in Toronto. He was previously with the Wild organization, now in his second season here north of the border. Face off in the D zone to the right of Primo, won by the Wolves, as it's thrown to center and out into the Marlies zone it'll go, with the top line on the ice for Chicago. Behind the goal, a centering attempt from Nadeau, tried to find Robida, couldn't connect. Now on the right side, Cohen's free, up to the right wing, over the Wolf line, cuts his way to the slot, tried a shot, missed to the near side, tried to go glove side high on Primo, rebound to the near circle, Quillen got it near the blue line, Thrun kept it onside and fluttered it to the far corner. On it now for Chicago was Nystrom, who played it up to center. Thrun back on it, put it on the right side for Cohen, as the Marlies are changing, but Cohen turned it over. A pizza at the logo for Robida. At the left side, Nadeau over the line, fed it far circle, cutting in now is Nystrom, down behind the Marley goal from the right circle. Got poke checked in the trapezoid, but Robida's trying to grab it. Dropped it for Nadeau, who lost it to Thrun, as he gave a heavy hit to Thrun, but he made the play up on the far wall to Torberg to get the center. Johnstone couldn't grab it for Toronto at the logo. The Wolves get it while changing and blasting one in Chicago from the near side. Around on the far wall, Pavlichev knocked it down low. Ryabkin tried to shove it home from the far side, couldn't get it on net. On the far side, Sim for Toronto flips it the other way to center. Bouncing puck at the Wolf blue line, grabbed on the backhand by Nystrom, played in front of the penalty boxes, and Pavlichev will steer it back in. Left wing side with 6.5 to go in the third. Now behind the Marlies net is Marshall Rafai. Being pressured by Neuchev, has to hurry it ahead for Toronto. Banked it off the near side glass. It goes into the Chicago zone. Bouncing puck in the near corner. The Valimaki tries to settle down. Has to hurry it along with a poke check. Comes up the near wall. Pavlichev gets it to center past the penalty boxes. And now at the red line, Neuchev knocked down a Marley and got that puck free. And it rolls into the Chicago zone, where Valimaki picks it up with 6 minutes left in regulation. On the far side, pass for Vierlings directed into the Toronto zone. Akhtiamov there to backhand it up the wall. Grew will try and center it out the center. It got taken away, but it came back to him as Valimaki did nothing with it for Chicago. So Grew sends a bouncing puck to center. Fensori had it, turned it over. Shaw takes it right side over the line. Here's Grew spinning with it right circle. Puts on the brakes, looks for some help, threw it on front of the net. Knocked down by Shaw with the deflection. Came to the right circle for Mermis. Mermis looking, played it to the far corner on an area play. On the far wall, it's picked up Lettieri, skating from low to high, flipped it towards the net, knocked down by Fensori, wants to skate it ahead for Chicago, he will. On the left side, a pass finds Vierling, weaving his way over the logo, skates back now as he doesn't like what he sees. Now from the logo, starts up again. Left wall, pass deflects off the stick of Gunler, trying to chip it down low in the Marley zone. He lost it, but it's not out as Seeley kept the puck at the left point. Played it back behind the Marley net. To the far corner, it's Philp picking it up with 5:08 to go in the third. He'll play it down behind the Marley net. The Wolves changing on the fly, so Villeneuve has time to play it to center, and he got it to the logo where Nylander knocks down a bouncing puck and played it in behind the Wolf net. Behind that net, Unger Sorum left it for Seeley. Ronan Seeley now for Chicago in his 4th pro season. Goes up the far boards. Unger Sorum had a touch pass come to the left side for Philp. Philp over the Marley line. Drop pass picked off by Rafai. Comes back to center. Now here on the right side's Quillen over the line. Dropped it Nylander. Lost it. Slavin poked it away. The Wolves get it back in the near corner. Philp here trying to move it along against Quillen for Toronto. Got it up the near boards where Slavin now trying to drop it off. Gets it to Nystrom. And he plays it safely to Foot, who gets the center. Philp just tried to get to the red line, does to drop it in. He heads to change now, is behind the Marley net. Here's Rafai, flinging it back up the far wall. It gets to the red line at center. The Wolves recoil with 4:13 left now in a regulation, tied at 3 goals apiece. Jaric Rubel, glad you're with me on a Thursday night in the middle of June on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. AHL hockey. Calder Cup could be won tonight if Toronto wins. Game 5 tomorrow if it's Chicago. As back at center, the Wolves, soccer and a puck, turned it over. Back on the right side, the Marlies steer it into the Wolves zone. No reset again behind the goal. Johnstone, though, picking the pocket of a Wolf defender. It's plopped out in front of the blue paint, but Fensori picked it up. Left side it goes for Robida. Over the Marley line, left wing at the circle. Puts on the brakes, fell over, but dropped it alertly to Fensori on the left side. He almost overskated it, but got it down low to Doe. Back to the left corner, Suzuki. Backed it up high to Fensori. He let a one-timer go, and it's blocked by the skate of Sim, or the head of the stick of Sim, as it shattered his stick. As now in front of the penalty box as he soccered one. Shaw right side, skates in over the Wolf line, dropped it. Lettieri can't shoot it as he now got tied up with the Wolf defender Robida. Puck free to Fensori, flipped it back out to center. All 5 Wolves in the defensive zone as the Marlies try and reset. Lettieri back in, right side, finds Grew. Grew right circle, tried a shot that got blocked away by Primo. Goes to the far wall, up top at the point. It slid this way to Villeneuve, who can't keep it in. Has to reset now at center as he backhands one to the blue line in the Wolves zone. Right side, Grew gets over it. He's tied up along the boards from Ronan Seeley. Puck trying to get lodged free from Suzuki on the near side. It comes free, and it comes to Gunler. He'll get the red line, trying to chip it over the Marley blue. That's about as far as he'll get it. Now back in front of the bench, he tried to send it back to Seeley on the near side, but the pass never made it. Grew picked it off, and now both teams change with under 2:35 to go in this 3rd period. So back at center, in front of the penalty boxes, Torberg will shoot one ahead for Quillen to tip into the Wolves zone. Right wing corner, it's picked back up by Chicago. As to center, it's played for Brindamore. Spinning at the red line. Got it at the left side for Vierling to direct into the Toronto zone. Behind the net, Akhtiamov will leave it for Rafai. Rafai now with 2:12 left in the 3rd. Skates out to the near circle down to our left in his own zone. Plays it on the far wall between the benches. Picked up by Danford, the rookie in his 1st pro season. Weaves into the right circle. Dropping it now for Cowett along the right half boards. Behind the net, he'll skate on his backhand. Pivoting to his 4 in the right corner. Threw it across. One-timer. Fanned down by Danford from the left wing circle. Picked up by the Wolves as Legault tries to clear. Bouncing puck gets over the red line. Picked up at the Toronto blue by Rafai. Final 105 seconds of regulation. Top line back on the ice for Toronto. Near side, Chicago's Foot. Plays a puck up the wall. It'll get out as back into the Marley zone. It'll roll, no icing. Picked up by Henry Thrun. 93 seconds left in regulation. As around on the near side, the Wolves trying to keep it in, but the puck comes back to center. Ravalimaki has to pitchfork one the other way, and it goes out of play in the near corner with 1:24 to go in the 3rd after a long stretch without a whistle. So you might have forgotten, we have one more commercial break left to take. It comes right now. And when we return, the final 84 seconds of regulation in game number 4, where the Marlies have potential to maybe win it here in a regulation to capture their 2nd Calder Cup in 9 seasons. Find out what happens when we return. Guess I lied to myself. No commercial break, as there's a neutral zone face-off here with 1:23 to go in the 3rd. Marlies win it, and it's sprung up ahead at the Wolf blue line for Bo Grew. Grew, though, is going to be whistled for an offsides here, so now with 1:17 to go in the 3rd, we'll have another whistle. So a neutral zone faceoff here coming up yet again in the final 70 seconds here of regulation time. Over 240 of you listening live here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube page. If you haven't yet, hit the like button, hit subscribe, as if you like what you hear, I'm sure you'll like the other stuff you find on the channel as well. Face off in front of the Wolves bench. Rubel wins it clean against the Marlies top line. As now at the near side in front of the penalty boxes, Valimaki shoots it in from the red line. It'll go behind the Toronto goal. Here's Thrun choking up on his stick down low. Was able to knock it through his legs on the near corner. Now Shaw trying to get to it for Toronto. Got knocked down. Nadeau pressuring Benning as well. But the puck free to the Marlies as Thrun gets it up the near side and Lettieri gets it to center. Under 50 seconds now to go in regulation. Perhaps overtime here for the second time in this series. As the Wolves shoot it back on the near side, Benning will direct it back to center. Valimaki once again put it back in Toronto ice. It'll roll towards Akhtiamov. Wolves have to get it off of Marlies' turnover. Here's Suzuki. Left wing corner. Fed it across and the pass was behind Unger Sorben. Now here's an odd man rush. Here come the Marlies with under 30 to go. Left wing. Here's Bo Groot. Trying a shot blocked alertly there by the stick of Suzuki. Back are the Wolves, thrown it rink wide. In between the benches, it's picked up by Gunler. Fed on the far wall, it'll be poked ahead by Brindamore around to the near side in the final 10 of regulation. Lettieri on the right wing, put it out to center. Seeley got it between the benches. Brindamore will steer it right back in, and that will dwindle off the remainder of the time here in a regulation as Game 4 of the Calder Cup final will take overtime here tonight. So the Wolves with 2 goals here in the third period tied this game at 3 to force overtime here for the second time in this series. As the goal scorers in this period, it was Dominic Fensori's 4th of the postseason, assisted by Ryabkin and Neuchev. Each of them their 4th assist, so 4's wild on that goal. And Justin Robida, 7th goal of the playoffs, tied it at 3 out of wraparound. Cal Foote and Ryan Suzuki given the assists on that. Ryan Suzuki now tying Bradley Nadeau again at the top of the Wolves list with 17 points in this playoff. As we'll head to overtime with the Wolves looking to stay alive and force a Game 5, and the Marlies looking to win the Calder Cup for the second time in 9 seasons. Shots on goal in that third period were 8-7 in favor of Toronto. They lead the shot count 34-22 over the Wolves, but we're tied at 3 through 60 minutes tonight. The Marlies in this playoff, a perfect 3-0 in overtime. We'll see if they could remain perfect and complete the sweep to win the 2026 Calder Cup. You're listening to the 2026 Calder Cup final. It's live right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube page with Jaric Rubel. Come back at about 15 minutes from now, 50 minutes past the hour, and overtime will be set to begin. So I'll see you then. Don't go anywhere, as we'll see if a championship is won or if Game 5 will be on the air tomorrow. back here at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, where overtime is set to begin, where we will determine a winner, and that winner will either force a Game 5 tomorrow night or a champion will be crowned on home ice. Welcome back in, everyone. My name is Jaric Rubel. Glad you're with me here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel for Game 4 of the Calder Cup Final that is heading to overtime, with the Marlies having a chance to win the series via a sweep in dramatic fashion. This game's been a good one. 1-0 Chicago, 28 seconds in, courtesy Bradley Nadeau from Juuso Valimaki, his 7th goal of the postseason. Then Jacob Quillen on the power play for Toronto from Easton Cowan and Vinny Lettieri, as Lettieri picks up his league-leading 25th point of the playoffs. Then Luke Hames for Toronto gave them the lead from Nylander and Villeneuve. Then Torberg sprung out a breakaway from Mermis, and Villeneuve made it 3-1 Toronto near the end of the second. And in the third, the Wolves struck with 2 goals in 1 minute and 5 seconds. Dominic Fensori's 4th from Ryabkin and Neuchev. Then Justin Robidas from Cal Foote and Ryan Suzuki, as Ryan Suzuki ties Bradley Nadeau at the top of this team for points this postseason, as they're both tied at 17 points apiece. As we are ready here for overtime. So in this overtime, again, the extra attacker. Nope, that's not it. The defensive zones will create the long change here in period number 4, as it'll be the defensive zones furthest away from each team's respective benches. As in this overtime, the Wolves will go left to right. The Marlies will go right to left, as the fans get loud here at the Coca-Cola Coliseum waving their rally towels. Let's see if we crown a champion tonight, or if a Game 5 will be played tomorrow in this building. Off the draw at center, Suzuki wins it for the Wolves as they wire it into the Toronto zone. Down to our right. Here now is Benning from behind the Marley net. Played it up the far wall. Bouncing puck comes to Thrun between the circles. Sprung it up the left side. Can't connect with Cowan. Now at the logo, it'll be Torberg trying to get in. Can't get over the Wolf line as Legault cut him off. Is now in front of the penalty boxes. Robidas for Suzuki to backhand one in. Around the Marley net it'll go. On the far side, it goes to the circle. Deflecting around in the slot. Came to Suzuki. A turnaround shot off the knee of Thrun to the far corner. Here now is Nadeau working against Benning. Far corner down to our right. 40 seconds gone by here in overtime. As the puck squirts free, Philp has it. Far half boards. Pivots to his forehand. Now skates down behind the goal line. In the trapezoid. Sets up in Gretzky's office. Goes to the far wall. Snapped on net. Save made Akhtiamov, and the shot from the far circle by Robidas is now on the near side. Here's Philp again. Trying to protect. Goes to Valimaki in the trapezoid. Pivots free here in the near corner. Goes back up top to Philp covering. Philp across to the far point off the boards. It'll be played Fensori. Down low it goes, and now it's taken by Unger Sorum. Dropped back but turned over to Torberg. The Leafs, or I should say the Marlies, now get it out the center. As now a diving play by Quillen will get it deep, and the Marlies will get a change with 1 minute 20 gone by here in the first overtime. So the Wolves working it back to center ice. Here's a return pass, finds Fensori in from Slavin. Cuts into the near side. Tried to play it on top of the paint. Rolled on top. Here's Slavin trying to get to it. Deflects to the far circle. Fensori's with it. Drifting from the deep slot. A shot knocked out in the slot. A backhand by Brindamore. Went wide around to the near side. Up the wall it goes to center. It'll be grabbed by the Wolves as Valimaki, I almost thought was going to lose it to Shaw, but Valimaki stayed with it, and it's played back at center in front of the Marlies bench. It'll be steered this way by Villeneuve to Mermis. Goes on the left wall for Grew. Grew in the slot. Lettieri, a shot into the glove of Primo it goes, as that was a quick snapshot there from Vinny Lettieri, but Primo saw it all the way. 1 minute 58 played here in overtime. So the Marlies here with an offensive zone draw coming up, as they're looking to win this Calder Cup, as Lettieri here with a good shot from the slot, but it was still down on the ice as he didn't get much elevation on that shot towards the glove side of Primo. And then at the other end, Suzuki tried a shot from the slot that went off the right knee of Thrun to the far wall. It's now a face-off here in the far corner to our left. Won by the Wolves as Celio directed up the far boards, but not out. Kept by Danford at the right point. Played it ahead. Deflected off a skate to the far corner behind the Wolf goal line. Seeley trying to play it. Can't find it, but it came to Vierling on the far wall, who flipped it out to center. Bouncing puck has enough juice on it to become an icing. That's what will happen as the whistle goes with 17:44 to go here in the first OT. So a Marlies ozone draw coming on up here as game 2 went to overtime between these two teams back on Sunday at the All-State Arena, as it was Logan Shaw capitalizing within the first 5 minutes of the extra frame, courtesy Vinny Lettieri. We'll see who the winner becomes here tonight. As now a face-off to the right of Primo's, won by Chicago, flipped out to center by Nystrom, gloved down by Rafai though at the Marlies blue line. Skates to the red, shoots it in from the far boards, around the goal it goes to the near left side. Nylander tries to jab it down low, it's taken up by the Wolves, thrown on the near wall for Gunler, turned it over in the slot. Here's Nylander all low with the shot, save made Primo, rebound, it's free in the slot, they poke away at it, Pare can't find it, the Wolves get it, they'll shoot it down the ice and happily take an icing, as the Marlies were so close to becoming Calder Cup champions on that net mouth scramble, but able to get it for Chicago was Nystrom, and he just said, screw it, I'll take the icing happily. So the Wolves just couldn't escape their own zone as Nylander was there to get the turnover from Gunler, and from between the hash marks, he had a brilliant shot go glove side on Primo, but Primo was able to stop it, and there was room. It looked like a great shot from the camera angle I was given. As now a face-off to Primo's rights, won cleanly by the Marlies. Mermis goes across, right boards, now it's Villeneuve going down low with it, behind the goal line. Quillen here trying to take it, lost it, on top of the paint, Seeley poked it, but not out. Cowan trying to keep it, far right side, can't grab it, Vierling will direct it out to center. This will end up becoming another icing though, as it will go far enough. No, it won't. We'll play on as it died in the near corner. Mermis forced to play it up the near wall. Pavlichev took it away. Had the major penalty in game 3, would be a good redemption arc to score here in the overtime of game 4. Directed it on goal and a right pad save made. Neuchev a follow-up. He scores! And the Wolves will this final to a 5th game on Neuchev's overtime winner. 4-3 the final in game 4. So Victor Neuchev's the unsung overtime hero with his 2nd goal of the playoffs, as it was put on net by Pavlichev off the right pad of Akhtiam, off the rebound, kicked free, and Neuchev there at the right spot at the right time. And we got a game 5 coming your way tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. So this hockey season's not done yet. I'm not ready for it to end. I want more games, and we're going to get another, as Pavlichev there with the good dump in, retrieved it behind the Marley net and just spun a shot from down low at the near right side off the pad of Akhtiamov. Neuchev cleans up the loose change, beating him to the stick side. And the Wolves, with an overtime winner, have extended this series to a 5th game tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. So this was a great hockey game here on USM. I thank all of you, 200 plus people consistently hanging out with me here on the broadcast tonight. It does not go unnoticed. I sincerely thank all of you guys, as I'm sure most of you could figure out, broadcasters back in the day would broadcast to nobody but a tape recorder to get their tape going, and I'm very thankful that I have a platform here that people want to stick around and listen to help me develop my skills. But a recap here in the scoring of this game was Bradley Nadeau getting it started for Chicago. It came 28 seconds in, set up by Juuso Valimaki, and then the Leafs, or I should say the Marlies, with 3 in a row, as Quillen got his 2nd of the postseason on the power play from Cowan and Lettieri, then Hames his 4th of the postseason from Nylander and Villeneuve, and then Torberg from Mermis and Villeneuve. Villeneuve up to 19 assists now, which leads the AHL playoffs. Lettieri up to 25 points, which leads the AHL in points. And then in the 3rd period, the Wolves took over as Dominic Fensori got his 4th of the playoffs from Ryabkin and Neuchev. And then Robidas, minute 5 after that, scores from Foot and Suzuki to tie it at 3. Then in overtime, Neuchev from Pavlichev as the Russian duo ends it in overtime for Chicago, as we have a game 5 coming your way tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. I hope to see you there. I'm looking forward to another night of hockey here on USM. The season is not finished yet, and I hope to see you all with me here tomorrow night on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, for Game 5 between the Chicago Wolves and Toronto Marlies. As for now, I must bid you all farewell, as again the final from the Coca-Cola Coliseum, 4 for Chicago, 3 for the Marlies, the final in overtime. And again, my name is Jaric Rubel, as this has been a presentation of the 2026 Calder Cup Final here on the Ultimate Sports Media YouTube channel. I'll talk to you all tomorrow for Game 5. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you then.